Okay.
Nope.
How long were you guys there for?
Well, 3 to 6.
I was there 3 to 5 because I had to leave for the softball game.
Nice. They played the anthem.
They did.
Glad he left early so he could hear it.
Had to be there at 5:30.
30 seconds.
Had to be there. What is this, Coughlin time? But I understand warm-ups and all.
I will say, it's fun to watch. Like the coaches work them. Our team, everybody hit the ball. Like they have a pitching machine. They all could hit. I was.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you. How the heck are you? Hope your week is going well. Miller and Moulton here on the Florida Sports Network. Thanks so much for being with us.
The hell was that?
I didn't yell this morning.
What the hell was that?
Yeah.
I didn't.
That's already.
Hang on. Can I
We got
leave and
problems
come back
already.
in?
Why?
We got
What?
problems.
There are certain things that I expect, and there aren't that many.
First
but one,
off,
I'm greeted with, how the heck are you?
Man,
Well, see,
respect's-
there you go. We just did it right there.
15 years.
I understand.
No respect.
Just
We've had to bring people out of the bullpen every once in a while when you're not feeling up to it. I get that.
right.
But you look good. You look like you're feeling good. You
I
got
slept
a
well.
little pep, a little energy in the step this morning.
Right.
And I get nothing.
Well, I mean, you've got something. I will say, has Felipe been here long enough to chastise me?
No.
Okay, I don't. Apparently, though, this is a subject worthy of chastising. All
That
right.
wakes me up, David.
Do we want to do it again?
Ooh.
Cue it up. All right.
I don't
He
know.
doesn't know
I don't
how.
if I can.
That's the problem.
Well, that's true. We are dealing with top-notch equipment
I'll tell
here.
you what.
And top,
You do it at the top of the next hour.
No.
No.
Okay.
No, apparently it's got to be at 6:01:15 or whatever the heck it is. So there you go.
I'd have no idea the direction of this show from this point forward.
All right. Well,
If this is a great show, you'll never hear it again. If it's not, then, well, we'll be back at it tomorrow morning.
yeah.
Yeah.
We okay now?
I feel great
We can
now.
go about our day. All right.
Whoop.
Good. I didn't realize it was, got like normally 5 people watching on Twitch at the time because we've gone live about 12 seconds before I start yelling. So, all right. To those of you in Tampa, St. Pete, and Lake City, and Port Charlotte, and Venice, apparently you'll get used to this. That's what I'm told.
Got a double shot there.
Yes, you did. And first off, how the heck are you?
I'm good. I'm doing good. It hasn't been that long since I've seen you.
I know we had the little event yesterday from 3 to 6 in Fort Myers, and Mark had to leave a little bit early. I mean, priorities, family and all. All right. The young lady in the family had a softball game.
Opening day, David.
Was it really?
Yep, first game. Realized one thing that I did not expect.
Huh.
We play the national anthem for U8 softball games.
Is this an opening day thing or is this an every game thing?
Can I let you know next week after game 2?
I was going to say, if it's an opening day thing, you know what? You go all out.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bunting on the field. I get it. But if this is an every week thing, wow. This might be the most patriotic under-8 softball league in U.S. history.
Found out 3 things last night that I was not aware of heading into the night. A, the national anthem. Caught me a little off guard when all of a sudden it started playing. Like, there wasn't an announcement either. There's no microphone. They played over a loudspeaker. I was like, whoops, I guess we better stand up.
Were the kids lined up along the baseline?
One team, yes. The other team kind of got scurried out as the anthem started. I think caught our opposition off guard.
Did you remember the story? Was it last week or the week before? I think it was the beginning of the college softball season. And for whatever reason, at a particular place, they literally announced over the teams come out and they line up along the base paths. And then, I don't know, for whatever reason, they come out over the PA system and say, we will not be playing the anthem.
Oh, boy.
The one team, I think the visiting team, third base side, they go into the dugout. The first base side starts to go into the dugout, and some people go, no, turn around. And so they come back, and then the crowd
sang the anthem.
And I will say, because usually, like when people stand up, you're at whatever, a game, a play, and what have you, people stand up. Usually you go, oh, okay, I guess I got to get up. The visiting team stayed in the dugout the whole time. They did not come running out 20 seconds into the anthem,
scurrying with
the coach basically said, nope, we're out. We'll sit this one out. So you had the home team lined up and the crowd singing, and the visiting team, they retreated to the dugout and they stayed there.
So, no, I did not see that. I'm kind of surprised the other team stayed there.
I am too. I thought they'd come scurrying out of the dugout.
If not for any reason to get caught and be told that you're not respecting the flag and you're not doing this, and you're not doing that. And it's like, oh, crap, we better run out there in a hurry, get our hats off.
Exactly.
So, one, they played the anthem. Okay, cute. Kids are all lined up, whatever.
Great.
And then one of the parents said to me, because, now with practice, we're starting to know one another. One of the parents said, did you see the schedule? I said, they added more to it? Because we only had about the first couple weeks. And they said, oh, yeah. And with the way they said it, I thought,
what's this, a world tour?
Yes. Yes, David. It's U8 softball. I have tournaments in Fort Myers. I have games at 2 different parks in Naples. I'm looking at this thing going,
wait.
I signed up for the rec league over here that's 2 miles from the house.
Come on, $20. I bought a bat and a glove. I mean, what more we got how many of these things?
So, and then I'm listening to a parent going, the All-Star traveling was a lot of fun. What the hell are you talking about?
All-Star traveling? We're under 8.
I'm trying to travel back to my house and get dinner and get the child in bed at a reasonable hour.
I'm trying to sneak out in the middle innings here.
She is 7.
Right.
And then the final thing that I found out is that I've been volunteered for concession stand duty.
Now, I have a question. Did your wife do it? Well, then I'm sorry. That's not allowed.
Right?
That is not allowed.
See, we have an app and everything for the league, David.
Absolutely not. No. Your spouses are allowed to volunteer, okay, the other spouse for volunteer duty. But no. Mary from 10 minutes away, who I don't really know, and our kids don't talk to one another, she is not allowed to volunteer me for concession stand duty.
Event, concession stand duty, right there on the app, David.
Yeah, look at that.
Couple of them, too.
Yeah.
See,
man,
and you take that the wrong way. Me.
What do you mean take it the wrong way? What other way is there to take it?
Oh, Seinfeld soup Nazi? You wait till I work this line.
So in other words,
no candy for you.
In other words, you're only going to do concessions once. Make up your mind, kid.
You think anybody's getting ketchup on a hot dog that day? You're crazy.
Absolutely not. It won't even be there. People will be buying fries. Where's ketchup for my fries? No,
I've got ketchup for your fries. It's back here. Hold on 1 second.
I'll put ketchup. How much ketchup you want on your fries? Well, why don't you just bring the ketchup out? No, but you got to remember, it's kids here. Kids are allowed to put ketchup on their hot dog.
We're going to have an ID station for the ketchup. Anybody over the age of 12 can't have it.
Basically, if you're shorter than where the ketchup container is, you can use the ketchup. If you're eye to eye or taller than the ketchup container, you cannot use it.
I'll be in there 4 hours before this will be the best event of the whole thing is me running the concession stand. I can't wait.
This is the highlight of your softball season here.
This is Dad.
Wow.
On steroids, man. This is good stuff.
Wow. This is good. I have to admit. Can we have concession cam?
Yeah.
All right.
I'll put the whole thing on Twitch.
I'll bet you would. Probably get more viewers. Miller and Moulton here on this hump day.
Not a doubt.
Oh, boy. There's a part of me now that wants to go see how it's the first Saturday of the tournament, by the way, is when you're on concession duty.
It's 11 in the morning.
Right. You'll miss the one game because that's the second round, the noon game.
I'll miss part of that.
You'll miss the first half of that, early second round game. Probably a 1-8 matchup is what you'll miss.
About half of it. I'm guessing I won't be there all day. I'm guessing I'll be there till about 1.
Yeah, you'll miss the first half.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, there you go. It'll be all right, I guess.
Oh, it's not like we won't have it on the radio in there anyhow. I'll have it blaring in there.
In fact, I think there's a chance you're not there for the whole game. I think there's a chance to tap you on the shoulder and say, you know what? Why don't you just...
No soup for you!
Right. I think there's a chance that maybe you don't fulfill your shift. That's what I'm saying, that they ask you to leave.
There's I think that chance is in the high 70s as far as percentile data.
My guess, though, is that they'll let you finish the shift, and then they'll just politely send an email of some kind. May not even send it to you, might send it to your wife.
Well, I laughed when I showed the wife the schedule of the concession. She goes, that's on you. I mean, didn't even waste a nanosecond to say, yeah, I'm not doing any of that. You're doing that.
Don't put my name on the sign-up list. No way. Miller and Moulton. I'm glad we're talking about this under-8 softball league because it might be the only baseball/softball we get to talk about for a while. Oh, man, are they making progress? And by progress, I mean, I'm hoping we can get the 2023 season off on time.
You know, and when David and I drove up to Venice and back, I said, you know, we had done something on the show that I thought we did a pretty good job of, and we were just talking about explaining contracts and free agency and some of the NFL stuff. And I said, I think we need to go a little more in depth on Monday on what's going on in the baseball world.
Right.
Because I don't think everybody completely understands. And I'm glad we did, because if you listen to our talk about the CBT, the tax, every article will tell you very quickly within the first 3 sentences that nothing on the tax was even talked about yesterday.
All right. Nothing day one. Yesterday it was mentioned. Neither side made a proposal.
I stand corrected. You're right. It was
somebody
mentioned.
In the room did say CBT, and my guess the other side went, huh?
And they zero talk about it in 2 days.
Right.
It is the most important facet of this. And I know, David, you spoke yesterday and said, hey, they want to get some momentum. They want to get a few things where they're at least on the same page. At some point, the most important part of the discussion has to be brought up. I don't think you can go 2 days without at least tabling that.
All right. This is very early, but Jim Bowden, former general manager of a couple teams, and he's been a longtime baseball analyst, MLB Network, ESPN.com, and what have you, The Athletic. I think he does a very good job. I think he's the best person on MLB Network radio. I really do. Over the weekend, he said what one of the sides should do, and he thought it was the players, is you put at the very bottom of your one-sheet proposal, you put the one thing the owners want over everything. And he said, and that's 14 teams in the playoff. We currently have 10. The players are seemingly willing to go to 12. The owners want 14. Okay. And Bowden said, put that at the very bottom of the one sheet. And then the 3 things that mean the most to the players, put down, we want this, and we want this. And you present it to the owners and you say, it's all or nothing. There's no negotiation. You give us the first 3, we'll give you 14. No negotiation. All right. Bowden said, I think it would work. I really do. The owners, that's what the owners want. Okay. The other stuff to them, he said, I don't think it's child's play, but at the end of the day, they would swallow hard, grit their teeth, and go, okay. And he said, I really believe we could break through all of this nonsense if either side were to present the other side with a one-sheeter like that.
I would like to say that he's right. Here are the only problems that I see. One is I still don't believe all of the owners are on the same page with the CBT.
Oh, no, not at all.
And so to get enough of a vote based on what the players are asking for with the CBT, I think that's difficult to believe right now. My only argument to what his point is. And the other one is, David, it shouldn't be an argument. If that's the case and they can get that done and they grit their teeth, maybe he's right. But the other part is when 2 sides hate each other so much, And these sides, this is an ugly divorce, essentially. And one of them is going to come up with a sensible proposal. And you're right. Like, this would be a sensible proposal from the players to the owners. Are the owners so mad that they're going to have to change something just because that's the way they negotiate?
Mark, and I hate to go here, but since you brought divorce, all right, and I'm being as serious as I can be, when one side in the divorce wants sole custody, all right, and the other side wants joint custody, and you know that the one side that wants sole custody, that is the thing they want to take out of this. They are willing to give away all of the possessions and what have you. They want sole custody. Visitation will be worked out on their terms. If I'm the players, that's it for the owners. The 14 teams is sole custody, okay? And you make the owners look at one another and go, I thought we said this was what we wanted more than anything else. They're giving us what we want. And they're giving it to us right away. We don't have to do a 5-6 year deal where we only get half and then we get what it is we really want in 2028. No. We get it today. Today, we can start making up all the money we've lost in the pandemic immediately. They're giving it to us. What do we care whether or not the minimum league guy makes $630 or $725? Do we really care? I mean, honestly, it's $95,000. How many minimum players are going to have on the team? At most 5. It's $500,000. Give me a break. All right. And honestly, make them fight it out amongst themselves. But I really think the players should do that. I think the players should say, here you go. Minimum salary blank. CBT this. All right. Arbitration players eligible this. At the bottom, the golden ticket. We'll give you 14. We'll give you 14. By the way, this is non-negotiable. This is a take it or leave it offer. We're going to be down the street having dinner, okay? And we'll be willing to stay for a couple days. You guys fight it out amongst yourselves.
I've got a golden ticket.
Exactly.
Sorry. We've got a great show for you today. Ron Sirak, who's one of our great golf guests, Phil Mickelson, decided yesterday he was going to walk away. We'll talk about that coming up and talk about it with Ron in a little over an hour. Talk a little gambling. In the 8 o'clock hour, and our buddy Seth Everett will join us as well to catch up on what's going on in the baseball world. We thank you so much for listening to Miller and Moulton right here on the Florida Sports Network. Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. And use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Oh, there's a feature on Snapchat where you can see what you were doing a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago today. And a year ago, I was at Alico Family Golf. Rest in peace.
That's closed, huh?
Oh, yeah.
But
Closed for a bit now.
Alico Family Golf. Never made it. The range there on Alico.
oh, he sold it to Amazon.
Yeah.
Yeah, he sold his land, though.
Yeah.
I mean, he made a killing. I'm guessing.
I was there a year ago today,
They
David.
sold it like last year so they could build that Amazon thing.
Probably got a bag. Can't really blame him.
Let's see how awful things are in our area. Sex offender wanted for shooting deputy. Deputy's in a rollover cash. Wow. Naples and Cape Coral Mariner are playing state championship in soccer.
Yes.
That's cool.
Little things that, I mean, talk about winning the PR battle. There were actually a small collection of fans that went to the stadium there, and they're standing at the gates. And the players, everybody arrives. What would it take for the players to just walk on over, sign autographs for a couple minutes, shoot the bull, and walk in? I mean, you want to win the PR battle, act like you care about the fans.
Yeah.
Take advantage of it. I mean, golden opportunity right there. Anybody got a pen?
It's true.
Do you know what's great, though? The national media trying to figure out Roger Dean Chevrolet Stadium. What the hell is this?
Oh, and here's my 2 years ago Snapchat. 2 years ago today, gas prices were $2.20 a gallon.
Yeah.
They're just coming out of the pandemic.
Yeah.
No one in California was driving anywhere. No one seems to want to take that part into it. The amount of gas that state uses just by itself.
I'll tell you what, though, it does stop you in your tracks when you live elsewhere in the country and then you fly to California and you see those gas prices, because it's not, a quarter more or 50 cents more.
No,
I mean,
it's
it's
like
$1.25, $1.50 more
Oh,
than
yeah.
what you're paying. You're like, oh my God.
It's
You're
unreal.
paying $3.40 for a gallon of regular unleaded and you go to California and it's like $5.
Mhm.
And you're like, holy blank.
It's unbelievable. You almost have no choice but to have an electric car out there. I mean, I don't know what the rates are on that.
I will say, watching the Super Bowl, between all the Bitcoin and, stuff that was being advertised and the electric cars being advertised, I mean, I felt 10 to 15 years older than I am.
Really?
Yeah, well, I don't have either. I don't have an electric car, nor do I have any plans to get an electric car.
See, it's funny. We do. Like our next car, we've talked about it a lot. Eve will get an electric car.
Well, I have to admit, I'm not planning on getting a new car for like another 10 years, though. I mean, honestly, we're going to run these suckers. We're just going to run them till they don't run.
And
anymore.
that's what I did with my last one.
Yeah,
20
I'm
seconds.
just going to
But
run
she
it.
drives.
Yeah. No, I got it.
50 miles a day.
Mm-hmm.
Gas prices being what they are. It's like,
no, listen, if it
$10.
makes sense, it
$10.
makes sense.
10 seconds.
I don't have my heart set on filling up. I could do without it.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
24 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton here on the Florida Sports Network, a hump day edition. Hope your week's going well so far. I mean, for many of you, yesterday was the first day you worked, so that's a good thing. We're big fans of the 4-day work week here on Miller and Moulton. We proposed it a long time ago. It was our original. We were going to run, for those just getting acquainted with the show, we were going to run as a joint ticket for Congress.
even though that's not allowed.
Right. So Congress, I mean, if we had to, we'd do it for Senate. Still not allowed. That's okay. Wherever we get on a ballot. And we felt we were going to start our own party. It'd be called the Common Sense Party. And we were going to run on three things. We were going to run on a 4-day work week.
Yep.
and we were going to run on
Legalize gambling,
tax it and regulate the heck out of it.
and legalize weed.
Tax it and regulate the heck out of it.
Bingo.
And we were going to be able to talk about all the revenue we were going to bring in, and then we're going to pay all the, firemen, police, school teachers, the whole deal, your roads, the whole deal. And then just, and this was 12 years ago. I mean, you want to talk about us being out there. Oh, man, we were bat blank crazy.
Yeah, sure we were.
Well, that's what we were told.
Sure we were.
That's what we were told. Now, we're mainstream. We're part of the problem.
It's one way to look at it.
Well, once they come to you and you get incorporated in, you're guilty by association.
Fair enough. So Phil Mickelson yesterday.
My guy.
You and I are sitting Miller's Ale House.
Right.
Doing our thing with Napa.
Right. We're in the middle of like a big conversation too. This was probably the conversation that had all of us intertwined more than any other conversation we had
the
there.
Boss, the two big guys from Napa, Tim and John, we're all sitting there chatting.
Yep.
And
all in.
David's phone vibrates and he saw Phil. And he looked at it. And he said, Phil just stepped away from golf.
I think Phil might have quit as I handed you the phone.
Right.
You got to look at this.
Was he playing a video game? Did he just rage quit at halftime with Madden? What the hell is going on?
Hold on a second. You can't quit. You got to defend your PGA title.
The Masters is in a few weeks.
Right. Come on now. I mean, a Masters without Tiger and Phil? Please. So, all right. I'm going to ask a question in which maybe I'm going to get mocked by you more than any time in our show history. Why is Phil in so much trouble?
David, I'm not going to mock you.
What did he say that was false?
They're bad people.
They are.
They killed a journalist.
They killed people for being gay.
He said that too.
I mean, his comments about the PGA Tour, people got bent out of shape about calling them, arrogant and greedy, and a few of the tour players said, Phil, you may want to take it easy on the arrogant and greedy. You've been maybe guilty of that over the last 30 years too, dude. Okay, fine. I get that. But, I mean, now he lost a major sponsor. He has to step away from golf. He's being ostracized. I got to admit, I'm like.
And unlike a lot of people, he said, look, they were off the record. I said all of it. I thought I said it in confidence.
Now, I will say the author, I mean, this guy's writing, I think, Phil's
unauthorized biography.
Right. And he's got a great reputation. And he immediately came out and said, yeah, there is nothing off the record about this. In fact, Phil called me. Now we can get into the whole, if I call you and I have to admit, I don't think my first impression when I heard it was, well, I don't think Phil thinks he's on the record when he calls you. All right. Honestly. But yeah, okay. Hey, he said it.
Yeah, and I mean that's one thing I say. Like Phil said, "Hey, it was off the record," but I said it. He didn't. Yeah. He did. A lot taken out of context. He didn't pull any of that.
Well, I mean, I don't quite understand why Phil is now the scarlet letter. I got to be honest with you. Maybe it's because we do other stick and ball sports, and a lot of stuff happens on a daily basis. But apparently, this is now the greatest controversy to hit the PGA Tour since Jack and Arnie threatened to break away from the PGA Tour in the late 60s. Okay. By the way, that worked out really well for the PGA Tour players, by the way, when Jack and Arnie did that. Just, little revisionist history. And this seems to be working out really well for the PGA Tour players. For as much as Phil is now a blankety blank, it's funny. There was a meeting yesterday between the PGA Tour and the Players Council. And the Players Council brought up some of the things that Phil went public about, including transparency and where's the money. And hey, seems you got a lot of money here. Shouldn't some of it be coming our way? And apparently the PGA Tour is like, well, yes, as a matter of fact, it will be. And we're going to address some of your other concerns as well. Huh, that's funny. Because 8 years ago, Phil made an ass of himself about the Ryder Cup. And guess what happened? All the changes the players wanted to the U.S. Ryder Cup. Okay.
And while a few have made comments, the only one that really came at Phil hard was Rory. I mean, Rory came swinging at Phil Mickelson. The rest of them made comments. Rory was the only one that I thought David really attacked Phil for his comments.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. And he even got a little personal. And okay. I get it. It's an emotional thing. You and I have gone at each other over the years too. It happens. Yeah, it happens. It's okay. You know, but apparently now Phil has to step away from golf. I'd be like, and besides, you lose a sponsor. Do you know how much money Phil Mickelson makes?
Well, and I would think there'd be 10 sponsors lined up right behind it.
Yeah. Saying, hey, we'll sign the deal right now. We'll have a slow reveal. We'll give it right. But how about this? Masters Week. Okay. Just going to go out on a limb. Because how long are you really going to take? So you missed the Florida swing. That's the way I took it. I looked at it and said, oh, Phil's not going to play any of the Florida swing, which he doesn't really like anyway.
Right. He doesn't like playing Arnie's tournament.
And he doesn't really like, and he hates the Players course, even though he won there. He hates it. So Phil basically said, you know what? I'll stay home in March. I'll bet college basketball. I'll work on my game. I'll see you at Augusta.
I hope so. But yes, I didn't think this was a step away from the game moment, David.
But apparently, and really, if you're Phil, I mean, you're 51 now. I mean, your day in, day out competitive days on that tour are over. I mean, the PGA was the aberration. I mean, I don't know if you had a top 20 in any tournament after the PGA. I mean, you're not a good tour player anymore, week in, week out. But you could probably be a wild card in all of the majors, except for maybe the U.S. Open. Okay, but
You'll just be wild in that.
Exactly. But in the other three majors, Phil's the 50 or 100 to 1 in which you go, you know what, I'm going to throw $10 on this guy.
Well, he's now in the old category of the Masters pool. And are you going to take him instead of Couples and VJ and some of those guys? Yeah, you're damn right you are.
I mean, would it really shock you if sometime in the next 3 years, if Phil Mickelson was in contention on Saturday at Augusta?
No,
not there. Not with his game. You can hit it all over the lot there and score just fine, as long as you stay dry. So if Phil just shows up and plays, the majors and maybe a couple on the West Coast, okay.
But
do you think this has cost Phil his CBS NBC announcing gig in a couple years?
No.
I don't either.
No. We move on far more quickly with everything. I think Phil could be on by June, not in 2 years, if you know what I mean.
I mean, Nick in our Twitch chat room here says, how about Phil and Rory playing on TNT Thanksgiving weekend? That'd be a good challenge if Rory had a sense of humor, which I'm not sure he does.
Not right now. He can't win a tournament.
No.
He was a lot funnier when he was winning.
Aren't we all? So, yep, Phil's stepping away. Apparently he has to. Nobody wants to talk to him.
Can't get a game.
No, apparently not.
Can't get a game.
He's a bum. Okay.
You say so.
Miller and Moulton. Starting 5 is next. Good show lined up for you. We'll talk more about this in an hour with Ron Sirak here on the Florida Sports Network.
Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program The Training Grove, with a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
That's pretty cool. You did good.
I do want to ask you this question though. At some point, do you, how much do you think this will hurt Phil with the Ryder Cup
Oh,
being captain?
that may have ended.
All right. So
That may have ended, David.
which would be ridiculous.
David, it's National Banana Bread Day today. I think that should be our poll question, by the way. Did Phil talk himself out of being a Ryder Cup captain?
Talk himself out of being Ryder Cup captain.
Given recent events, did Phil Mickelson talk himself out of being
Ryder Cup captain? I like it. Honey Mac, I like that suggestion. Koepka's a blonde, though. I'm with you, Paul. I do not like nuts in my banana bread. Oh, that's not good.
What?
Oh, I'm guessing he's on the phone with us. Are you on the phone with the station? Oh,
I'm on the phone with Westwood One.
Everything
is
all
there a
right?
problem?
Yeah, apparently the show disconnected, but I'm on it right now. I don't know how.
You have to go back there and reconnect it?
No, or I think it might be.
Oh, it's through that app. Yeah.
Right. We're back in 15 though.
Okay. So all's good? Okay.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
19 minutes before the hour. Thanks for being with us, Miller and Moulton, on the Florida Sports Network, a Hump Day edition. Final Wednesday of February. I feel like 2022 is moving right along. You know, some years seemingly not so much. This year, I think we got it going on right now.
February is crawling to an end for me, the short month.
Huh.
The 4-day kid weekend, no school for the kid on Friday or Monday.
Took a lot out of you?
Just it threw this week off.
Okay.
When you finish the show on Monday and the daughter's sitting right there, and then
Right.
you go right to, what would be a Saturday or Sunday type activity. It's just, I'm off. I'm off a day this week.
Plus, we've made 2 public appearances in the last 4 or 5 days, which we haven't done in nearly 3 years. So,
man,
do you realize the last time we had ever done something out in public was the 2019 NFL draft? Yeah, it's a busy week for us. We're all in on this whole
I'll
Florida
tell you
Sports
what,
Network
Marty,
thing.
boss man, you better start selling that 2022 draft right now. Okay?
It's always nice to start with a threat to the boss. Time now for
The Starting Five. 5 stories you need to know. It's the Starting Five on Miller and Moulton. Here's number 1.
I always figure it's better to make those threats before he's out of bed.
Well, I agree. If you're going to do it, do it in the
6
baseball
o'clock
hour. Right. Phil Mickelson, deeply sorry, unquote, for his comments about the Saudi Golf League and the PGA Tour and, everything he said. And he's stepping away from golf for a while, and he lost his big KMPG sponsorship there. So, boy, it's going to be tough, him having to put another logo on a hat. Oh, by the way, coincidentally, there was a big meeting yesterday between the PGA Tour and the players. And the players said, we'd like a little more transparency. And we'd like a change to the fall season because we don't have any break. And the PGA Tour, by the way, started the meeting by basically saying, can we just move past this whole Saudi Golf League? Either this thing is not going to happen, or if it does, it's no threat. Can we just move past it? And the players in the room were like, yeah, sure. The PGA Tour did reiterate, though, spread the word. If you go play in the league, you're dead to us. You're done. We will basically kick you off the tour, which I think would result in a court challenge, but, that'd be fun. Phil did say, by the way, his comments, which got him in all this trouble, were off the record and out of context. The author, Alan Shipnuck, was like, no, that is not the case at all. So, and I think, once again, this is one of the few times in which I think in the golf world, the golf media is going to side with whom?
Their own.
There you go. And there's no way I don't think, to prove it. Apparently, by the way, Phil picked up the phone and called Ship right there. Which I don't know if that proves either guy's case. The one thing I will say that bothered me, and listen, if you're into golf, you watch the Golf Channel, and Brandel Chambly does not like Phil Mickelson and has lit him on fire for most of the last 10 years, ever since the Tom Watson Ryder Cup incident. I mean, Brandel's had no use for Phil. That's why when Phil won the PGA last year, I thought it was honestly, I wanted to punch Brandel in the mouth. It's like, dude, don't suck up now. With all due respect, you light him on fire for 7 years. Don't suck up now. So Brandel, as expected, lit him on fire yesterday, and that's fine. But he said, and I'll tell you a story, and he talked about after the Ryder Cup, Phil called him up and talked with him for 30 minutes. Well, that's not an on-the-record thing. All right, that's not. It's like, hey, can I talk to you? Okay, and they talked, and apparently, Brandel wasn't buying what Phil was selling. Okay, fine. But you don't ever go on the air with that. Ever.
No, you don't.
Okay, and he went on the air with it yesterday.
So Phil Mickelson knew a guy had a problem with him. Tried personally to settle that dispute.
Right.
Quite frankly, as we always say, did it like a man. Called him up and said, hey, I want to work through this, or whatever it was.
And even if you don't want to give Phil the benefit of the doubt, which Brandel didn't. Brandel's like, he was trying to sway me. He was trying to get me to change. Okay, fine. But he did pick up the phone and he called you. And by the way, this whole thing is off the record. I mean, this happens all the time in our business. All the time. That is not something that is ever supposed to be discussed publicly. Unless you, Brandel Chambly, said, hey, Phil, if we get, just so you know, okay, if we go any further, okay, I get to talk about this phone call. Okay. And I'm pretty sure that was not the case. And Phil made a bunch of those phone calls after the Ryder Cup. He called a bunch of because Phil got crushed. And so Phil called up the golf media world and just tried to say, listen, this is where I'm coming from. This is what was happening behind the scenes. You want to crush me. Okay, blah, blah, blah. So I did think, and granted, I'm a Phil guy, but I thought as a media person, I thought that was unfair by Chambly. You want to crush him? Hey, he's giving you plenty of stuff to crush him about. But you don't go bringing up an 8-year-old phone conversation. I think that's, anyway. By the way, I want to talk about two sides that don't like one another. Phil Mickelson versus Brandel Chambly or Brian Flores versus Stephen Ross.
Ooh, I think Flores and Ross, there's more hatred.
So Flores and his camp came out yesterday and said Ross wanted him to sign an NDA, a non-disclosure agreement, when he was fired. And Flores wouldn't do it. And apparently, because of it, lost out on millions of dollars. Ross immediately, I will say, unlike the original accusations in which Ross took like 2 days, Ross immediately issued a statement categorically denying it and went so far as to say, I have no idea why Flores is basically lying about everything. So then Flores and his legal team released a bunch of documents in which they claim prove their accusation. Our buddy, Daniel Wallach, took a look at those documents, released them on Twitter and said, yeah, this does not prove what it is that you're saying it proves. This looks pretty standard, actually, to me. So the debate and the dispute rages on. Big night of college hoops last night. Arkansas had not won at Florida since 95. Granted, they don't play in Gainesville every year, but they had lost their last 14 meetings. Not last night. 82-74 Hogs. Game of the night, however, might have been in Hartford. UConn scored 6 points in the final 30 seconds to beat 8th-ranked Nova 71-69. Kansas, Texas Tech, Tennessee, Iowa, all ranked, all won big. Bama squeaked by Vandy 74-72. Miami whooped up on Pitt in Pittsburgh 85-64. Women's hoops, South Florida winner. Coaches poll, 3 women's teams in state mark are ranked. Gators are 21st, FGCU 23rd, and UCF in the rankings for the first time this year at 25. NBA's off until Thursday with the All-Star break, but J.J. Redick made a little news yesterday. He said he's concerned about a former teammate of his, Zion Williamson, and his, quote, pattern of behavior, unquote. Zion hasn't played this year. He's got a foot injury. And he's overweight, and apparently he's tough to get a hold of. He's working out in the Portland area, which is interesting because C.J. McCollum played for Portland, got traded to New Orleans, and spent 2 weeks trying to get a hold of Zion. And the only reason Zion now got a hold of C.J. is because C.J. went public and said, I can't get a hold of Zion. The Pelicans, by the way, sent out a season ticket brochure and online for next year. Did not include Zion Williamson in it.
Seems like that would be a tell.
Wow. Hey, we want you to buy tickets. C.J. McCollum, Brandon Ingram, and Jonas Valanciunas. I know I
Gesundheit.
mispronounced that last name, but you know,
Gesundheit.
Felipe.
Jonas Valanciunas.
There you go.
It's pretty close.
Him too. All right, but no Zion Williams. NHL 6 games last night. Panthers lost at home. What in the wide world of sports is going on here? Nashville went in and beat them 6-4. Toronto lost their second straight at Columbus 4-3 in overtime. Wild lost their second straight to Ottawa 4-3. Those are not good losses, guys. Blues went into Philly, beat the Flyers. Who doesn't these days? Anaheim 4-3 over San Jose in a shootout, and the Islanders beat the Kraken. This just in, the Kraken's first year, not going like Vegas's first year.
No, the league made sure that wouldn't happen.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did. Day 2 negotiations between the players and the owners in Major League Baseball. Little progress. And when I say little progress, I mean really little progress. The union mark made a big concession. Instead of wanting 80% of the 2+ year players eligible for arbitration, they reduced it to 75%. But they then proceeded to up their offer on what they think the minimum salary should be. Owners, by the way, want the minimum wage to be $630,000, the players $775,000. I say we split the difference, call it $700K, and move on to the next issue. Is that too hard?
That seems like the easiest one to get done.
Unbelievable.
They've handled the DH. Now they can handle that one, David.
Unbelievable. The CBT, it was mentioned, but neither side's made a proposal. They're going to meet again today. I mean, at this rate, they might have a deal by the All-Star break. Mark, I can't believe we didn't do a preview yesterday.
Oh, boy. Here it is. I wondered if he could fit it in. There's so many stories. The starting 5 has so many good stories.
I've given them to you.
And then here we go.
The USFL had its draft yesterday.
Ay.
In the first round, you drafted quarterbacks. I have to admit,
how many have you heard of?
I do like how they did it in that sense. They said rounds 1 and 2 QBs, rounds 3 and 4 this, rounds 5 and 6 this. Good. Shea Patterson, first player taken in the USFL draft by the Michigan Panthers. So, you know, Clayton Thorson, you may have heard of. He was taken by Houston. Jordan Tamu, taken by Tampa Bay. Kyle
He's going to be a
Loetta.
bandit?
He is going to be a bandit. Kyle Loetta, okay, drafted by the Pittsburgh. They're the Maulers, right?
I believe they are, David.
So there you have it. Those are some of the quarterbacks. taken
Maulers are
round
always
1.
tough on the road, which is good because they're going to play all road games.
I was going to say everybody except Birmingham's going to be on the road this year. And that mark was...
That was the starting 5 every weekday morning at this time on Miller and Moulton.
Hey, the league starts in like 6-7 weeks, and we finally have players for it. I mean, I got to admit, I think they're making progress. I mean, they came up with coaches, then teams, figured out where they were going to play. And now apparently they actually have players. That's good. You need those at some point. And they had the draft on February 22nd, and the league starts in less than 2 months. It's all right.
Well, they go right from the draft to camp, so there's not a lot of downtime.
Pretty much. I mean, I'll bet some of these guys are working 9-to-5 jobs. They're like, hold on a second. I got drafted?
I wonder how many of them are not going to take the draft because they're going to stick with the 9-to-5 job.
Well, I will say, employers are having to pay a little more these days. It's true. Don't know if the USFL's offering more than...
Exactly, than a Wendy's.
I heard $18 an hour.
Trust me, I filled out an application yesterday. Always need a backup plan, David.
Everyone needs a backup plan, Mark. So there you have it. Miller and Moulton. Ron Sirak will join us next hour to just talk about Phil. How much trouble is he really in with the PGA Tour? 8 o'clock hour, Seth Everett will join us for his weekly appearance. Miller and Moulton, top of the morning to you. Florida Sports Network.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
The Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by RP Funding, roars through the streets of beautiful downtown St. Petersburg, February 25th to the 27th. 3-day tickets are on sale now at gpstpete.com. It's fast, fun, family entertainment jam-packed into 3 days. The weekend is highlighted by the NTT IndyCar Series race taking the green flag on Sunday afternoon. It all happens at the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by RP Funding, February 25th to the 27th. Get your tickets at gpstpete.com to secure the best seats.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. We're listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. We're not running replays like that. There's not bars over the thing. This is 1986.
Release the Kraken. I think Zion's played his last game in New Orleans.
That was one of the first things I remember you saying when I got here, and I instantly agreed with you.
He's going to miss this whole year, and I think they'll just trade him in the offseason. And it'll be a risk for the team acquiring. Zion's going to have to have some workouts during the offseason, prove that he's healthy. So maybe he plays some games for New Orleans and they trade him early next season, but
Now, does he get traded for picks or a star or role players?
he'll get traded for a really good player.
Julius Randle for Zion. Do you take that?
Well, I think, wasn't Randall already with New Orleans?
Yeah.
And so they moved on from him?
Yeah. But I think
The Knicks would do it yesterday. To take that money and get it off the books. And if Zion is fat and injured, they only have him for 1 year and they can move on. I think the Knicks would do that deal yesterday.
I think that's a good deal.
I do too.
And Randall was really good in New Orleans. And he was playing alongside Anthony
Here's the
Davis.
problem, though. Zion's making a rookie wage and Randall's making almost 30. So from a salary standpoint, it's a problem.
Right.
My guess is the Knicks would have to, the Pelicans would have to, I don't know. Is Steven Adams still on the team where they could dump that salary on the Knicks? I mean,
Steven Adams is on the Grizzlies.
okay. And my guess is New Orleans will want to unload a salary along with it. Does anybody believe that Aaron Rodgers hasn't made up his mind yet about his future? I mean, that was like when Tom Brady post-game was asked about his future, and he said, I haven't thought about it yet. I mean, come on. You're not expecting us to believe this, are you?
I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I'm kind of also getting that treatment of, oh hey, what's up, Felipe? Hey, what'd you think about the Super Bowl? Blah blah blah. Like people just always want to talk sports with me at an event.
What
and
else do they
everything.
want to talk with you?
I'm like, yeah, it's fine.
Isn't that all you ever talk?
Well, weather people.
Yes, it's my thing. I get it. I love sports, but like,
Well, it's the same with weather people. Okay, my mom's a nurse. All right, and she'll go long periods of time where people won't talk to her and they'll call her up because they have a medical question.
right.
My wife loves
it's-
that,
Right.
I mean,
especially when my friends call me up to ask my wife a question.
if my friends need a statistic from an NBA season, they call me.
Yep. That's what you're good for.
Who won the 09 MVP? Oh, it was LeBron. This is his first MVP of his career. Hey, thanks.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you. Hour 2 of Miller and Moulton here on the Florida Sports Network. Thanks so much for being with us. Ron Sirak will join us in 30 or so minutes to talk about Phil Mickelson stepping away from golf for a while. How long's a while? Does anybody really think he's not going to play the Masters?
I sure hope not. I sure hope that he's back by the Masters. That would be ridiculous.
Also a tournament in which, the media would behave a little bit.
They don't have a choice.
I mean, Phil would, whatever Tuesday or Wednesday, the Masters would assign, Phil Mickelson half an hour, and Phil would come out and he'd say what he'd say, and he'd, face, 10, 15 uncomfortable minutes. And then, they'd probably get around to, you've been practicing, hitting balls,
Do you think you can contend this week?
Right.
I mean, the golf media has never been one out there as the tough media crowd.
Right. So,
and if you get too nasty at Augusta, they would just take your credentials away.
Well, some guy in a green jacket will just kind of glare at you like, tone it down. So let me ask you this question, though. It was the only topic we didn't get to when we talked about this last hour. You and I are a little bedeviled. Just wanted to work that in.
Well done.
As to why it is Phil's in so much trouble, to be honest.
Right. Bedeviled, not bedazzled. You started it.
I did. I deserve that. So, do you think this hurts Phil in becoming Ryder Cup captain?
Getting to that poll question that we have out there today. Yeah. I think it may end his chance of being Ryder Cup captain.
Really?
Yes, I do.
Really?
He took on the tour, basically called them worse than the Saudi government.
Well, he didn't say that. He said, I'm using the Saudi government, and they're a bunch of really bad people.
To try to make a point about how bad the PGA Tour is.
Well, I'm trying to change the PGA Tour.
Right, because I'm comparing them to the Saudi government.
No, he didn't compare them to the Saudi government. He just said, I'm using this tour to try to gain some leverage on the PGA Tour to open up their books and spread some of the money around and not be so draconian in certain things. I mean, that is the proper context of what he said. Now he's getting a huge blowback from it. Apparently it's deserved. Okay. And he's lost a major sponsor, and now he's got a scarlet letter around him, and nobody wants to talk to him. And that's all the people who don't like Phil are coming out of the woodwork. And I will say this, by the way, if it were you or I,
there's some scary MFers, but sometimes you got to do what you got to do.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
David.
Hey, listen, it's like making a deal with the local mob. Not inviting them over for dinner, but if it gets me leverage on this little party over here, I'll make a little side deal with the local mob. Got to do what you got to do. That's how I took it anyway. Phil's like, yeah, these are not nice people.
I understand, but let me ask you a question, David. of the professional sports associations out there,
Right.
who has a stick up there, more than the PGA Tour?
They're certainly medalists, Mark.
They are.
They are certainly medalists.
And since tennis doesn't really count anymore, you have to almost throw them out.
Wow. If that's the case, we're competing for gold here then.
Exactly. And I believe they're an association that will hold a grudge for a while.
Oh, I definitely think so as well. Now, remember, though, the PGA Tour does not control the Ryder Cup. The PGA of America does. And Phil did not at any point in time say that the PGA of America can't suck enough.
Right. And the Hall of Fame can make their decision about the baseball writers, and MLB has nothing to do with that.
I didn't say that.
I know you didn't.
They try to claim that.
Right. And if you're trying to claim that the PGA of America is not going to be influenced by the PGA Tour when it comes to Ryder Cup captains, you're nuts.
I agree. Influenced. And my question is, how much influence and for how long?
Phil's 51, right?
Yes. We'll turn 52 in June.
Okay. Is this a Ryder Cup year?
No, because we just whacked him.
We just whacked him. Okay. So the next Ryder Cup, he'll be 53. They're going to at least not give it to him for the next 4, just out of spite. So he's approaching 60.
So you think he doesn't get it for 2023 and he doesn't get it for 2025?
For sure.
Okay.
And then can they make up? Or by that point, will Phil start having animosity towards them and now just not want it because they haven't given it to him?
I don't think so, because I think he desperately wants it. It would be his last great moment probably in golf is to be the Ryder Cup captain.
Tiger will be the Ryder Cup captain before Phil.
Which I think was going to happen anyway. I really do. I honestly believe that. I mean, let's face it. He's Tiger. He's the greatest figure in the sport since Jack and Arnie. And basically, Tiger's going to be at the front of the line for everything.
Absolutely. I don't know how much Tiger's going to want to be a Ryder Cup captain. I don't know how much that would appeal to him. I think more now, obviously, than ever before.
Well, and
that
also,
he may not be playing regularly. This last injury could have done some of that.
But he has signed on as like vice captain a couple of times now. He has seemingly shown, for the longest time, old Tiger, that didn't interest him. All right. This guy of the last half dozen years, it's interested him. He's more one of the guys. And he has a really good relationship with some of the young guys.
Exactly. And so did or does Phil.
Right. Did, apparently.
So, I think it'll be easy for Phil to make up those relationships with the players out on tour. I don't think that'll be a problem at all, David. But the PGA holds a grudge.
Well, they do. And they've made some baffling decisions in the past. They skipped over Larry Nelson, which makes absolutely no sense. Won the PGA twice, a veteran, taught himself the game in his 20s. I mean, he picked up the game of golf in his 20s. I mean, he literally represents everything the PGA of America is about. And they bypassed him for Ryder Cup captain. Baffling. Absolutely baffling. I'm going to throw something out here. Do you think I think Tiger can do Phil a real solid at some point. At some point. And I will say Tiger did not come down hard on Phil. At no point in time here has Tiger come down hard on Phil about his comments, about the Saudi Golf League either. He's just said, hey, I'm a PGA Tour guy. That's where my loyalty is. But he has not chastised Phil. And I do think when it comes to the Ryder Cup, I agree with you, Tiger's going to be captain before Phil. And I do think Tiger behind closed doors or publicly could be like, hey, guys, he made a mistake. But, we've all made some mistakes.
You know what? I'm not going to change my vote because it's already up as our poll question. Given recent events, did Phil Mickelson talk his way out of ever being a Ryder Cup captain? I voted yes. Your point right there, David, is the way that he becomes captain. Tiger Woods is the guy that has to do the legwork here. And I think he will.
Well,
I think he would.
I think we'll find out just how far the relationship has come. Because if Tiger, whenever he serves his Ryder Cup captaincy, he will be asked at some point who should be captain next. And if Tiger looks right into the microphone and says, well, it should be Phil.
Well, and if Tiger's named captain and names Phil a vice captain.
Well, that would be amazing.
That's the other thing I was thinking. That's the olive branch, if you will. When Tiger says, no, I want him.
That would be something if he did that.
That's how it would get done.
So that's our poll question. That Mark Miller, I'll retweet it here any moment at the David Moulton. It's also up at FL Sports Network.
Look at you. Remembering the Florida Sports Network Twitter account.
Come on now. I mean, just because I don't use it very often doesn't mean I don't remember it.
You know what? It's moments away, probably this commercial break away from being up at floridasportsnetwork.com as well.
Oh, for goodness sakes. Public appearances, website.
Yeah, you can find our show there as well.
What the?
I know. Rumor has it we're going to be out at Daytona Beach in the coming months.
What?
David.
Wow.
Just repeating the things they tell me.
Wow. The only thing that'd be more shocking is Tiger picking Phil as a vice captain. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. eat dinner, how hungry I am in the morning.
Yeah.
I mean, like we had a little thing of brie, like, I mean, literally one block of cheese that big between the two of us and some crackers last night. Because
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
$18 minutes past the hour. Ron Sirak coming up in a little more than 15 minutes time to talk about the Phil Mickelson controversy here on Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network. Poll questions up. It involves Phil and the controversy. And so far, Mark, 3/4 of our audience is with you. The question simply, Phil and his comments and everything that's gone on recently, do you think it's going to cost him ever being Ryder Cup captain? 3/4 of you say yes. I'm in the no camp. Forever's a long time.
It is.
I mean, just think about how long ago it seems Juwan Howard was in trouble. Honestly, I mean, next day's news. He races, many things from recently. Think about all that's going to go on between now and the Masters. I mean, this whole baseball thing, are they going to get something done? Are they not? March Madness. NFL,
there you go. Now you got some important stories. So
NFL,
that baseball thing.
Well, and I'm building up. NFL free agency. I just started with the appetizer. That's all. And a small one at that, apparently. Every day, the appetizer's getting smaller.
It really is.
I will say that minimum wage, a lot of stuff people aren't paying attention to. But, think about people trying to relate to, and when you hear that they're arguing over what is essential, it's called the minimum salary, but it might as well be, it's their minimum wage. And the owners are they're up to $630, I think.
The players want
$775. Right. And you want to talk about,
right. They want $630 an hour and they want $775 an hour. Makes sense to everybody.
That's I guess how they view it. Right. I mean, that's one of those deals in which both sides, it's like, guys, we got to get this issue solved. This is a bad look. Can we just agree on 700,000, split the baby, and let's go?
They're not interested in common sense.
Oh, and they are not giving a damn about the PR either.
Neither side. They have dug in, and things that seem incredibly simple to you and to me are brain surgery now to these two groups.
Well, like they're over in Jupiter. They're at the Roger Dean Chevrolet Stadium, which houses both the Cardinals and Marlins spring training, that whole complex over there. And there are a few fans that actually show up, and they're at the gates, and they're like, come on, guys, make a deal. We miss you. That sort of deal. They know when they're showing up. It's not like they have to wait hours. Apparently, these guys aren't meeting till after lunch every day.
Well, they got stuff to do in the morning. You got to get to the bank, got to get a workout in. I mean,
apparently, they're all from out of town.
Right.
Okay, there's only so many people can work out in the hotel, at one time.
Social distancing and all, they're still adhering to that.
But just a little thing, like there's 10 Major League Baseball players, and at least one of them is going to be a Hall of Famer, and Max Scherzer. And Francisco Lindor is there, and a few others. I mean, can't you be smart enough to sign autographs? I want to talk about the visual. The cameras are outside the gates. All right. And the fans are there. I don't know. There's 12 of them. All right. There's 10 players. Okay. Bring pens. In fact, be smart. Bring stuff. Give it to them. Sign it and give it to them. How long would it take? There's 12 of them. You could all sign stuff and give it to them and be in the meeting within 10 minutes.
David, and what's funny is if word got out that they signed a few autographs, 12 would grow to 20, 20 would grow to 200, 200 would grow to a few more people. And you know who would look good through all of this? The players.
Imagine that. Call up whoever. Hey, ship some stuff down here. All right. We want to give it to the fans. I mean, if they love this sport this much, to show up at an empty complex in the middle of a day to just try to say, hey, make a deal, will you guys? We miss you. You know what? Here's a little something for the effort. We're not forgetting about you. Don't think we're forgetting about you when we go in there to negotiate. Yes, it's business, but you're not forgotten. That's what that would say.
Yes. And right now they are forgotten. And they are making every effort to let the fan know. And that's what's going on, why we laugh about spring training. It sucks, but we've told you only for 2.5 years that there wasn't going to be a spring training this year. I mean, Seth Everett was so far out in front of this, it's not even funny.
He was only 2 years ahead of the curve.
And he said then there won't be spring training. There's going to be a long lockout. People don't, the league doesn't care. The players don't care about spring training. And, you've kind of impressed that upon me, even though it's obvious. They don't get paid for spring training.
Nope.
So why would the players care? This goes back to switching sports, but when Strahan skipped camp and had the season he did, it was the worst thing that ever happened to preseason in all of the major sports.
And veterans have figured it out in the NFL. First off, they don't very rarely do it. Guys anymore go to training camp, spring training, etc., to get in shape. They stay in shape year round. Athletes are much better conditioned today than they've ever been. And it's certainly the case even in baseball. Now, I will say, I think pitchers need it.
That's seems to be a proven fact. Not just you, everybody seems to think spring training and why pitchers and catchers show up, that's the only thing out there that's important.
I mean, I heard a guy on MLB Network Radio the other day that said hitters need like 3 to 5 days. They said they're basically there so that the pitchers can get in their work. Okay, but for the most part, hitters need like maybe a week. Pitchers need a month. Hitters need a week.
And the other little truth bomb that's come out in the past few years, and David and I stumbled upon this, maybe even be towards the end of Act 1, in which you and I were at the Red Sox spring training and went, how many jobs? We start interviewing people, start talking, how many jobs are being fought for? One? I mean, there's not a starting job. No one goes into spring training going, well, find out who our next second baseman is.
Yeah, those days are over.
And I mean, it's a generation since that's happened. Now you're fighting for a spot or two on the roster. Can this guy make the team, or is he still a year away?
Maybe some of the teams that are worse off, there are a few jobs that are actually available. But yeah, for the most part, if you've got 30 teams, I mean, there are not 100 jobs being fought for.
No.
And that would be over 3 per team. There's no way.
There's a couple of 1.5 per team is about what I would say.
Yeah, maybe 50 jobs at most. 60.
And maybe 5 starting jobs.
So no progress yesterday. 2 days in to the week where something has to happen. And so far, nothing has happened. Zip, zilch, nada. Perverted way, Mark, I applaud the players. I do. It's real easy for the owners to just keep saying no. It's hard for the players.
And it'll start getting harder as this month turns into March. And March gets closer to opening day. And Mama starts saying, where's the paycheck, dear?
Right. Yep. Opening day is supposed to be March 31st. They're supposed to get paid on March 31st for the first time.
Now, they have been planning for this for a while. It is the best union in all of sports.
They have the deepest fund also. They have raised a lot of money to try to get their players through this so that they could play the hardball that they are playing. So far, no cracks in the Players Association.
Way too early to be looking for cracks.
Well, somebody has to crack this week.
No, but I mean, it's I guess I took that the wrong way. of the rank and file to start getting upset with the players. It's too early for that. We won't even see that until we're mid-March.
But no cracks yet in the negotiations. They have not made the big concession yet. We'll see if the owners crack first, because I really do think the players are prepared to miss games. Because in the back of the player's mind, for those that still care, because as we had somebody in our Twitch chat rooms said, we were talking about there's 12 fans outside the gates, and Hops goes, wow. So all of the baseball fans in the country showed up. Boom.
Just the ones that can still travel.
But in the back of the players' minds, this is something that, those of us can't fathom a negotiation going like this. But those close to the negotiations feel that the players could, once again, to give the owners the 14-team playoff, that the players feel they can miss time. They can miss 2 weeks in April. They could miss the month of April. And at the end of the day, say to the owners, okay, we'll give you 14 teams. Oh, by the way, we get paid for a 162 game season. And the owners go, yeah, but you're only going to play 140. Players are like, don't know what to tell you. You want 14? We all get paid in full this year. Yes or no? And the owners would say yes. And that's another reason why I don't think the players crack. Those 2 extra playoff teams, that's it. For the owners, that's the ball game. Just like the NFL players who gave the owners a lot. What's the one thing they didn't give them, Mark? They didn't give them 18 games. They only gave them 17. Now, they signed way too long-term of a deal, and we think they did a horrible job. But, now they have something in 2032 or whenever it is, but they actually have something the owners want. They'll have a chip, and it's a big one. They'll have a chip.
We'll switch from a ball with stitches to one with dimples. Ron Sirak will join us next to talk Phil Mickelson, the PGA Tour, and maybe even Ryder Cup captaincy will all come up next on Miller and Moulton. We thank you so much for listening to the Florida Sports Network.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, the Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with the Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. And use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Yeah, I thought you were saying that because I was like rubbing my eye. I was like, yeah.
No, you got up and walked out of the studio. We've had satellite problems already.
I went to go fill up my water.
Gotcha.
And it wasn't a satellite problem. It was the first local ad played, and then the rest of them just went silent for the rest of the break until the rejoin. So, yeah, he called me and he's like, hey, there's nothing playing. But it was just because that didn't play. We're good.
Everything's fine.
Everything's fine.
By the way, Tennessee last night.
Woo!
Damn.
I mean, whooped them from the word go.
Yeah.
Got on them and stayed on them, right?
Like white on rice. Such a weird saying. Or am I missing something with that saying? Like white on rice. What is it just because of the color?
Yes.
Like like yellow on school bus. You know?
Doesn't have the same flow now, does it?
Like brown on poop. I don't know. Like
Once again, you're actually proving the point of why the phrase works.
because it's smooth, like white on rice.
Yeah.
It's just weird. I mean, like, yeah, I guess, yeah. I don't know. Maybe I'm just overthinking right now. I tend to do that a lot.
Gonna take the headsets off again, Philly.
No, come on. At least let me see what my Twitch family has to say.
Look, let me explain to you guys. Philly will never watch Miracle. Philly can't even do his homework assignments for school without
No,
David having to do them for him.
I will watch.
And when David was doing his assignment for him and I was helping, he wasn't listening again.
Are you talking about the attendance?
Yesterday at Miller's Ale House, when David went through the attendance of both teams, and you went and you had them all wrong, and you went, no, I thought you said this, because you weren't listening.
Please, I'm not like a photographic memory machine.
Neither do I, but I heard everything he said and knew what it was.
Yeah, but you kind of have an idea of it already. I'm trying to jot notes down on my phone, get information, to use in this
you have
article.
never taken a commercial break off at a better time, David.
Man, you're just
ever.
I make simple human mistakes, and you just dog all of this.
They're the same mistake, Philly. Every mistake that you've made stems from a lack of listening.
Okay, I can't speak for that time, but most of the time that I'm making those mistakes, it's like what 7:30 in the morning.
Okay, so
I'm getting.
Have you ever heard the phrase of what excuses are like?
Yes, that's an excuse. Yes.
You know what excuses are like?
What are they like?
They're like buttholes. Everybody's got one and they all stink.
Yeah. I'm gonna call Ron.
That would be nice.
By the way, he did do something a couple days ago comparing Nicklaus and Hovland's 5-irons from their day. And apparently it people really
Sirak, right?
Sirak.
He's a golf channel, right?
He's a contributor, yes.
I saw him last.
Ron's on hold. We're back in 10.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, 23 minutes before the top of the hour. Seth Everett to join us in roughly an hour. It's a pleasure to welcome back Ron Sirak to the show. He has been honored by both the PGA Tour, the LPGA Tour, for his distinguished journalism career. He's an established author. He contributes to the Golf Channel. You can follow him on Twitter at Ron Sirak, Sirak. Ron, it's David and Mark once again. I hope the winter is treating you well in the Northeast. How are you?
I'm doing well. Played golf yesterday here on Cape Cod. So but I am looking forward to heading down to Florida the first week of March for the Golf Hall of Fame induction. So it'd be nice to get down and get some warm sun.
There's no doubt. You guys are tough playing in golf in that kind of weather up there, Ron. There's just no doubt about it. You get this stuff. You get soft pretty quickly. I think I shook my head a little bit when you said you played in February, Cape Cod. But obviously, the big story of the day is Phil Mickelson stepping away. How surprised are you at how relentless everybody has been at Phil?
Well, Phil likes to put himself in the middle of things. He likes to be outspoken. I'm not surprised so much at the relentlessness of the pushback against him. I'm sort of surprised at how quickly the whole Saudi tour idea unraveled, and it unraveled this weekend with about 6 or 7 players publicly siding with the PGA Tour and saying they were not interested in chasing Saudi money to the desert. But Phil is one of those people. The two players in recent golf are Phil Mickelson and Tiger Woods, who are lightning rods. People either love them or they don't like them. And so whenever either of them are involved in anything close to news, the reaction's going to be very, very strong, both positively and negatively.
Ron, what of Phil's comments do you think has gotten him in the most hot water?
Well, I'm sure the comments that he made about Saudi Arabia has not played well in Saudi Arabia and with the people who are planning on writing checks for this tour. But then the other comments that he's made, probably the two words that are going to haunt him the most is when he accused the PGA Tour of obnoxious greed. And this is from a guy who's made, over $100 million playing golf, professional golf, both in prize money and endorsement deals. And so I think those are the two words that are going to come back to haunt him, because people are going to say, wait a minute, you've made over $100 million. How much money do you need? I mean, what is obnoxious greed? So those are the words that are going to haunt him the most. And then the whole idea that the PGA Tour doesn't do enough for its players is sort of a head scratcher for a lot of players, because if you look at it, in the Tiger Woods era, prize money on the PGA Tour has more than quintupled. Endorsement deals have rocketed up. And the tour has organized all that. The tour finds sponsors. The tour negotiates TV deals. The tour stages tournaments, provides agronomists, rules officials, media officials, all those kind of people. They make it all happen so the players can go out and earn this money. So it looks disingenuous on his part to a lot of the players.
Our poll question today, Ron, is pretty simple. Did this cost Phil a Ryder Cup captaincy?
That's a great question, because first off, the Ryder Cup is run by the PGA of America, not the PGA Tour. So those are separate entities. So as ticked off as the PGA Tour might be, and oh, by the way, the fact that Phil says he's stepping away from golf right now could very well mean that he was suspended by the PGA Tour. We don't know. PGA Tour does not make that information public. But will the PGA of America, how will they feel about this? It may work against them, and the way it may work against Phil the most is how the other players are going to feel about him. The PGA of America is not going to want to make somebody captain of the Ryder Cup team if they have the feeling that the majority of the players in the team are at odds with the guy over something. So I heard him. I think it's likely. Going to cost him a captaincy.
We think that Tiger is the one who is going to have to save Phil, if you know what I mean. That Tiger has not chastised Phil publicly. If he has, we've missed it. He has simply said, listen, that league's not for me. I'm a PGA Tour guy, period. But at some point, he's going to be asked specifically about Phil. And And Tiger's probably going to be a Ryder Cup captain here in the near future. And don't you think, Ron, that Tiger is the one guy who could save Phil if he were to privately or publicly say, listen, he screwed up. Okay. He really screwed up, but come on. All right. He's one of the 15 greatest golfers of all time. He's done a lot for USA Golf. Okay. We need to suck it up and move on.
I don't think that, I think you're right, what you're saying. I don't think Tiger's going to do that, though. I think that Tiger will try to stay out of this as much as he can. And when he's asked questions, he will deflect the questions by saying what's right with the PGA Tour, not what was wrong with Phil Mickelson. He won't deny that look, Phil Mickelson was the second best player of his generation. And when you're second to Tiger Woods, that's pretty good. He won 6 major championships. That ties him with Nick Faldo and Lee Trevino on the all-time list. He won a major at over the age of 50. That's incredibly impressive. So, and Phil is, believe me, I've lived in the New York City area. I lived in it for 40 years, and when Tiger and Phil would come into the New York area to play major championships at Wingfoot, at Baltusrol, at Shinnecock, any of those courses around there, the crowds were more Mickelson fans than they were Tiger Woods fans. They always, people loved the fact that Mickelson interacted with the galleries, smiled at them, waved at them, bumped fists with them. And they felt that Phil was a regular guy. So he's always going to have a lot of very strong support. I've been fascinated following it on social media, where I split. I mean, the players have come out. I haven't seen many players defending Phil. Let's put it that way. The media has probably gone after Phil more strongly than the fans, who are sort of pretty divided. This is one of those things like when the Tiger scandal happened. If you like Phil, you're going to defend Phil. If you don't like Phil, you're going to attack Phil. And this issue is not going to change your feelings about him. It's only going to strengthen your feelings about him.
Ron, I loved your tweet about the Genesis Invitational. If he had his 5 best things about it, 1, 3, and 5 were how good Tiger looked and sounded. The others were about the tournament, or one about the tournament, one about the players turning their backs on the Saudis. But despite Tiger looking and sounding good, do you ever recall a time in covering the sport where Jim Nantz interrogated Tiger, much like we would see an interrogation at Guantanamo, for crying out loud? I mean, Ron, he really grilled down on Tiger. I thought it was riveting television. I'm curious. Obviously, you must have thought the same thing.
Yeah, and I mean, Jim asked the same question about 6 different ways. And, are we going to see you this year? And this is what I loved about, I don't know if you remember Tiger's interview last year at that tournament. I thought he looked horrible. I thought he sounded horrible. 2 days later, he has the car crash. Right now, he seems to be in a much better place than he was before the car crash. In his head, he seemed to be happy. He seemed to be healthy, except for the fact that his legs don't work the way that he would. But and I love the fact that he didn't. When Nance said to him, "We're going to see you on tour this year," Tiger said, "I don't know." Are you going to play the Masters? I don't know. Are you going to play the par 3 contest? I don't know. And I think that's honestly true for Tiger. I think he doesn't know what's next. I think that's part of what frustrates him right now. But it was a fascinating interview to watch, because on the one hand, Nance sort of looked at Tiger so adoringly while he was interviewing him. But on the other hand, he was determined that he wanted to get some sort of time frame out of him, and Tiger wasn't going to give it up. And I do believe Tiger when he says he doesn't know what the time frame is for his recovery.
Yeah, there were a few people in social media who had a little fun with, if you can get someone to look at you the way Jim Nantz looked at Tiger Woods, that's someone to keep very close in your life. We're talking with Ron Sirak, contributes to the Golf Channel, acclaimed author, honored by the PGA Tour, and the LPGA Tour for his excellent journalistic career. You can follow Ron on Twitter at Ron Sirak, Sirak. Just to go off the beaten path for a second here, Got a lot of golf fans listening on our 4 stations throughout the state of Florida. And you last week just threw out there little, hey, how golf has changed in 50 years. A Victor Hovland 5-iron and a Jack Nicklaus 5-iron. Now, we've all had this talk and discussion. And Ron, we've had it with you too about the great courses and are they going to be obsolete and what have you. This seems to be a topic that fans and media are interested in, but the PGA Tour and the R&A and the players don't seem to care about.
Yeah, it's going to be here's when certainly the PGA Tour and stakeholders in the game are going to care about it. And this was, by the way, that my tweet got like over 1 million impressions on that, so it definitely struck a nerve with people out there. But it's going to become a concern for them if we get in danger of losing iconic golf courses, not to the average golfer, but to tournament golf. Part of what's neat about baseball is Fenway Park and Wrigley Field were both built in 1912, and they're both still relevant in the game. We don't want the old course at St. Andrews to become obsolete because people are hitting the ball 350 yards. We don't want Augusta National to become obsolete because people are hitting the ball 350 yards. And part of the point that I was trying to make in that Victor Hovland, Jack Nicklaus quote is in my mind, it's not so much the 350-yard drive that's changing the game. It's the 200-yard 7-iron. Players are hitting high shots with spin from distances that they're not supposed to be able to hit high shots with spin into the greens. I thought Tiger gave a great answer in that Nance interview. When Faldo said something like, "We need to make the sweet spot smaller on the golf club." Tiger said, "Just make the golf ball spin more." And that was the change that happened in 2000 when the solid core ball came in. Tiger lost a lot of his advantage because Tiger was able to go at the ball 95% capacity of his swing and still be reasonably close to the fairway. Other guys had to swing at 75%. Solid core ball comes in, it spins from side to side less. Everybody's swinging their butts off at the ball now and hitting it a mile. I said if the equipment hadn't changed in 2000, I think Tiger would have been even more dominant than he was because he was that much better of a ball striker. But the idea, and golf doesn't want to go down the bifurcation route, which is have 2 different sets of equipment standards, one for amateur players, one for the professional players. But I think that's going to be inevitable at some point if we get to the point where they cannot play on some of the great golf courses in the world because guys simply hit the ball too far.
Well, and Ron, and then Mark, you as well, that I thought Tiger gave an interesting answer. I forget what it was that Nance brought up, but Tiger basically almost gave his impression of what his impact is on this young generation when he said, "I think I was the guy that made it so that you could swing really hard at a golf ball." All right.
Well, I think that Tiger did part of his legacy. It's going to be a couple of things. One is he made it possible to get rich playing golf. When he turned pro, backup shortstops in baseball were making more than the highest paid golfers, and that's not true anymore. But the other thing Tiger did is he attracted a better quality of athlete to the game of golf. And he did that by making it possible to get rich, and he made it by making golf cool. So we are seeing bigger, stronger people. We're seeing the Tony Finau's, the Dustin Johnsons, and big, strong guys out there and better athletes playing the game. So they are better athletes than they were. But there's no question that the equipment, which is way more forgiving now, the 460cc driver, the solid core golf ball, the equipment is more forgiving, has made the game much, much more enjoyable for the recreational golfer, but it's made it possible for the really talented players, those highest level players, to swing harder at it. The other thing that Tiger taught people was that you can win quickly and early at any age. And so some of these young guys are coming out there, they're big and strong, and they just attack the golf course in the way that they saw Tiger attack the golf course. But I do think that they're given the advantage of more forgiving equipment. When I first saw Tiger play in the mid-'90s, he was playing a small little steel-headed driver. He was playing blade irons, and he was hitting the ball 310 when everybody else was hitting it 285. And then by the early 2000s, everybody was hitting it 320, and the game changed.
Ron, thanks for making time for us. We really appreciate it. Safe travels to Florida in a little more than a week when you come on down for the Hall of Fame, and hopefully you stick around for a little while. And Ron, we look forward to doing this again.
And then in 40 days, we got the Masters. So that's always something to look forward to.
Ron Sirak. Follow him on Twitter at Ron Sirak, Sirak. You'll see him on the Golf Channel, and he writes a lot. And he writes well, and he writes with perspective. Check him out, ronsirak.com, by the way, if you want to check out some of his latest work.
242-yard 5-iron from Victor Hovland. For someone that was wondering, because I just wanted to give the tweet, Jack hit his 5-iron between 175 and 180. Victor Hovland on Saturday or Sunday hit a 5-iron 242 yards.
Well, if you ever watched the final round of the 86 Masters, just marvel at the clubs that Jack is hitting into 15. I think it was a 4-iron from 213 in the fairway that he knocked to about 7 feet there for the eagle. And 16T, I think it was 5-iron.
And they're hitting 8s and 9s now.
I think it was 5-iron that he stiffed there on 16.
It used to be 5 or 6, because it used to be a 6-iron shot.
Right.
And now it's a 8 or a 9.
Yes. So, Miller and Moulton. Thanks to Ron Sirak for joining us. Our poll question again is the latest controversy: has it cost Phil becoming the Ryder Cup captain? Thanks for listening, Miller and Moulton.
The Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by RP Funding, roars through the streets of beautiful downtown St. Petersburg, February 25th to the 27th. 3-day tickets are on sale now at gpstpete.com. It's fast, fun, family entertainment jam-packed into 3 days. The weekend is highlighted by the NTT IndyCar Series race taking the green flag on Sunday afternoon. It all happens at the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by RP Funding, February 25th to the 27th. Get your tickets at gpstpete.com to secure the best seats.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today. Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
This guy we're going to have on next, and I don't know if it's Casale or Casale. Right. That's what I was talking to Philly about. I think it's Casale, but he put money before the season started on Auburn at 70-1.
Wow. Is he more college hoop?
Well, right now he is. But he does them both. I have to admit it was not ideal, but because he does a lot of betting. Okay. But just He was all over Arkansas yesterday against Florida. Yeah, but Mark, here's the problem. The average person watching, at least in my opinion, the average person watching golf, I see, to me, that's too inside baseball for the masses.
That's way too inside, Mark.
I mean, Mark,
you
actually
want to do
think
that on the Golf Channel on
Yes.
Thursday and Friday. That's one thing. You start doing, you have to remember, Mark, people are doing the announcing for the masses. They are not doing it for you for a 4 handicap. You obviously are a good player, think a lot of the game. I get it, but they're not doing it for you.
And Mark, I'll be honest, I don't think the announcers dumb their commentary down enough for their audience. They got 3-4 million people that are watching, and most of them are 20 handicappers.
Right.
Okay. And I actually think they need to dumb it down, to be honest with you. I think they talk over the head of a good chunk of the audience a lot of the time. I could be completely off base. Adam, it's one thing to piss him off, but John Daly's also not looking to become Ryder Cup captain. Phil is.
And he keeps showing up because he gets sponsors exemptions. I actually think Yinzer Venturi was pretty close. Kenny taught a lot about the game of golf. I thought Kenny took time to explain a lot. Say it into the microphone.
Casale.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
And we begin our final hour for the folks in Lake City, Tampa, St. Pete, Port Charlotte, and Venice. And we are halfway home for those in the 239. It is Miller and Moulton here on the Florida Sports Network. The Florida Sports Network. Seth Everett to join us in a little more than 30 minutes time. It is a pleasure to welcome on to the show Thomas Casale from NBC Sports Bet. He analyzes both college football and college basketball. He placed a wager on Auburn at 70-1 at the beginning of the season to win the national title. You can follow Tom on Twitter at the Tom Casale, Casale. Tom, it's David and Mark. Thanks for your time. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
Do you have that bet, by the way, like on the wall? And do you just take pictures of it every week and send it out to people?
Well, everyone knows I have it because I mention it like every 5 minutes. But yeah, I'm a little worried though. Auburn isn't playing that well on the road. I'm hoping they didn't peak too early here, but I still like their chances in the tournament overall.
I'm curious, with a bet like that, at what point would you hedge? Final Four, or would it be the championship game?
I would hedge in the Final Four most likely at 70-1. The last year I had Arkansas at 80-1, and I was a game away from hedging, but they caught Baylor in the Elite Eight and came up a little short. So it's hard when you have a game like that because Baylor was the big favorite, so it was kind of hard to hedge out. But yeah, I would definitely at 70-1 start hedging out in the Final Four.
Well, you mentioned them. Let's go there. Arkansas, they did something last night they haven't done in over a quarter of a century. They had lost 14 straight in Gainesville, and they beat the Gators. I mean, not a very good Gators team by any sense, but hey, they won. Auburn couldn't do it just 3 days earlier. Your thoughts on the Hogs? They are certainly playing really well right now.
Sure, yeah, I wrote this up at NBC Sports on Monday. Very similar to last season when I took them. When I took Arkansas 80-1, that wasn't in November, that was in February. And they had just the next game they beat Alabama, and then everybody started to notice them a little bit. And it's kind of the same thing this year when they beat Auburn. But this team's 12-1 in their last 13 games. One loss by a point at Alabama in what I think is the toughest conference in America this year. So they're playing pretty well. They were 80-1 on Monday. They're down to 60-1. They play Kentucky on Saturday at home. If they beat Kentucky, they're not going to be 60-1 to win it all anymore. So that's a team I think, if you're looking for value, still has some out there and can make a Final Four run.
How many teams do you think are national championship contenders out there?
I think a little more this year than this is going to be a crazy tournament. This isn't last year where Gonzaga and Baylor collision course all year and then met in the finals. I think you're going to see a bunch of upsets. I think one of those 1 seeds could lose in that second game to an 8-9. You know, maybe Purdue. I'm not a huge Purdue believer with their defense, but you know, I think maybe 7 or 8 this year could get in there and win it. I don't think that even Gonzaga, you know, Gonzaga gets in their conference, then everybody, you know, acts like they're unbeatable. You know, they lost to Alabama. They didn't look good in that game. You know, they didn't really. I know they beat Texas Tech by 14, but that game was pretty close most of the way. Texas Tech had one of those games where they went about 5-6 minutes without scoring, but their offense is better now. So I don't even put Gonzaga in that can't be beat category. I think it's going to be a wild tournament.
He's Thomas Casale. He analyzes basketball and football, the college ranks for NBC Sports Bet. You can follow him on Twitter at the Tom Casale, Casale. Listen, the ACC's been disappointing, but, you know, lately, got to admit, the middle of the Big Ten looks really soft. I mean, when you look at that conference, we think some of these teams are going to squeeze into the tournament, but I don't know if they should.
Yeah, I don't know if they should. They probably will. I mean, it's hard to keep teams like Indiana out in the, you know, with the committee. You know, I actually just tweeted a couple of days ago that if the Big Ten has a good tournament, I'll probably be eating tuna fish sandwiches until September because I'm going to be betting against the Big Ten. I think you're 100% right. That mid-tier of the Big Ten to me is very, very weak. And again, this is why I'm not that high on Purdue and Illinois. I don't think they're really beating anybody. Michigan State is bad. Indiana's bad. Ohio State, Michigan. Will these teams get in? Probably, because the committee's going to put them in, but I don't think they're going to last very long.
Yeah, Rutgers might be better in the Big Ten than all those teams you just mentioned, and they're an average team as well. When you look at the SEC, you talked about them being the best conference, but outside of, you mentioned Arkansas, Auburn, Kentucky, is there a fourth that can make a deep run?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're looking at Tennessee. I don't buy into Tennessee a lot because every time I do, I think they falter. But in a tournament setting, yeah, I think they're going to be a tough out. Let me throw a team out to you that I was talking about the other day is LSU. LSU had some losses. They had injuries. Right now they're healthy again. That's a team when they get out of the SEC and have to face teams that don't know them with that defense. I think they're going to be trouble in the tournament. So I wouldn't be surprised if they made a run. You know, I really wouldn't be surprised if any of those, Arkansas, LSU, Tennessee, the SEC to me is so strong. When your bad teams are Texas A&M, South Carolina, and Vanderbilt, that's a pretty good conference.
Yeah, Thomas, to me, for what it's worth, I think teams like Bama, LSU, Oregon are teams that, quite frankly, they can beat anybody. And they also could lose early in the NIT if that's where they got placed. And we know they're not going to. But I think there are a handful of teams this year that are flat out lightning in a bottle and could flame out or go to an Elite Eight.
Yeah, and Alabama is the epitome of that. Alabama has shown that they can beat anybody on any night. Alabama has two problems. One, they shoot way too many threes for a team that ranks 303rd in a 3-point percentage. So, every game you see, oh, hey, Alabama is in the game despite being 2 for 26 from 3. Well, Arkansas did the same thing early in the year. Then they stopped and changed the way they played, and they've won 12-13. So I don't think Alabama plays very smart offensively. And then the other problem is just their interior defense. They're just too easy to score on. I mean, we saw that with Kentucky on Saturday without two of their best players hung 90 on them. So, but Alabama, you're right, is the epitome of that. They'll either get upset in the first round or they'll be in the Final Four. There's probably no in between with that team.
Nova showed Providence, who was Boston. I know UConn got them last night by 2. But as you look at these conferences, when you look at the Big East, is it just Nova, or when you see Providence and you see UConn, do you see runs out of somebody else? They're a deep conference, but it seems to be Nova's it's the heaviest at the top.
Yeah, Nova, I think, is the best team, but I wouldn't be surprised if Providence or UConn won a couple games in the tournament either. I know the metrics don't love Providence. The odds makers don't love Providence. Well, they're 22-3, so they're doing something right. And then, again, a team that hasn't been healthy all year. Almost every night, UConn's missing one or two of their players. But I think when they get in a tournament setting, the way they pressure the ball, the way they defend, the way they rebound will be tough. So I think those three teams in the Big East could make runs.
All right. Let's talk some blue bloods here. I mean, we haven't really mentioned Kansas, Kentucky, or Duke. I mean, they could all win their respective conferences. Are they Final Four teams, or are they just blue bloods with big names that are probably a game short?
So out of those three, a couple months ago, I bet Kentucky at 20-1 to win it all too. That's the best. That's the best team, I think. I think Kentucky matches up well with any team in the country, and they exploited Kansas' weakness as we saw when they met, which is interior defense. Kansas does not defend well in the paint, especially for a team that big. Now, all three of those teams have a chance to get to the Final Four. They're all good. But I don't think this is a great Duke team either. I think Duke is playing in a weak conference this year and racking up wins. So can all three make the Final Four? Sure. But if I had to rank them in order of how I think they'll make the Final Four, I'd say Kentucky 1, Kansas 2, Duke 3.
How much better have the odds makers gotten? There was a time in which, I think David and I for 3 years in a row after the first 2 days of the tournament would just go, all right, let's see how many covered. And basically, if you took the points on Thursday and Friday, I think there was about 3-4 years in a row you didn't lose. With more gambling, how much tighter are these games getting? How much harder is it getting?
Well, it's funny because I make my most money betting college basketball from November to March 1st. But a majority of the public doesn't bet college basketball.
Right.
That's when you make college basketball. If you follow all these little conferences and study all these teams, is one of the sports you can actually beat to make money. The problem is once March Madness starts, all those edges are gone. That's when everybody's betting college basketball. I mean, I love March Madness. Yeah, I love to bet on March Madness. But to be honest with you, I find it the hardest time to win. I only bet a couple games in that first round. I try to find the biggest advantage. And I think you're right. Once you get to the Sweet 16, then college basketball turns into the NFL. Those lines are so tight. There's not really an edge either way because you're usually down to those really good to strong teams. So to me, March Madness is the hardest time to bet college basketball.
Thomas, you said you're going to be betting against most of the Big Ten teams in the tournament. What if I went the other way and said, I think I'm going to be betting on most of the Mountain West teams early in the NCAA tournament? Is that a good strategy?
Yeah, I'm going to be interested to see where some of those teams land because when you look at some of the bracketology right now, a couple of them are in those 8-9 games. And that's what I was talking about in that second round. A team like Wyoming, if they play Purdue, that's going to be a tough game for Purdue. So I'll be interested. Typically, and I think it'll happen again, Mountain West teams are underseeded, and I think they will be again this year. I mean, you're going to have a team like Wyoming with the same seed as a team like Indiana. It'll be like an 8-9 game. So I think they'll be underseeded, and I think that could be an advantage going into round 2 when they're underdogs against some of these bigger teams.
Thomas Casale, he breaks down college hoops and football for NBC Sports Bet. You can follow him on Twitter at @TheTomCasale, Casale. Thomas, this was fun. Hopefully we can do it again before the brackets.
Great. Thanks a lot for having me.
Thomas Casale joining us here on Miller and Moulton. And what are we? 3 weeks from tonight would be day 2 of the play-in. So we're 22 days away from the full field tournament getting underway 3 weeks tomorrow.
You know, I love it because he had 2 bets yesterday that he broke down. One was the Arkansas-Florida game. Okay, it's a big game featuring high-quality SEC teams, one of which is on the bubble. The other one was Yale.
Love me some Ivy League breakdown.
I know you do. And he hit them both.
First off, usually in the Ivy League, you just bet the home team. But
Yale was on the road yesterday.
I know. I said usually.
I know.
Miller and Moulton. Thanks for listening, Florida Sports Network.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. We're listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
I gotta get the juices flowing inside of me somehow.
Oh, have a coffee.
I did, but I think I had it too early.
Okay.
Gotta set off the bomb inside of me later.
Well, you did show up with a whole bunch of energy this morning.
I did. I showed up early. I woke up early. I took a shower this morning. So, I don't know.
Why'd you wake up early?
I don't know.
How early? 15 minutes? 20 minutes?
I usually wake up at 4:45. I woke up at like 4:20.
That's 25 minutes, man. That's
an eternity in my sleep schedule.
I was just going to say, when you're doing mornings, that's a big thing here.
My life has never been the same.
No, he normally has energy. All right. It's just he hit the wall. Normally, if Felipe is going to hit the wall, he'll hit it in the bonus hour. All right. So for him to hit it in the first segment of the 8 o'clock hour, that's alarm bells, baby.
By the way, I don't know why some of you are surprised that I'm using David to outsource for my homework. Of course I'm going to use it. Not just David and Mark. Come on now.
It feels like it weighs 600 pounds. Pollen the last 2 days have just got me.
And when I have the time, I'm going to watch Miracle DC. I promise. I promise.
When you watch it, all right, watch it through the credits.
Like,
just watch it through the credits. What they do is that because you got 20 members on a hockey team, and most of them are portrayed in some way, shape, or form in the movie. And so they then
give you an update.
as to now. Granted, it's an update as of when the movie aired,
which is about 20 years ago now, almost.
Early 2000s.
No, was it 2006?
well,
15 years
no,
ago?
I mean, didn't Herb Brooks die in 03? So did Miracle come out in 04?
Okay.
Yeah,
I said about 20 years ago.
Yeah, well, I know. And I looked at you, and at first I'm like 20 years, and then I'm like, son of a gun. He's right.
Look at you.
So, well, because
Two in 2 days. You know how good this feels?
Well, it didn't seem like that long to me. But then I went, well, wait a minute. Herb Brooks didn't leave to see the movie, and I was still doing local TV when Herb Brooks died, and I haven't done local TV since early 04.
You know, Chris, it's a damn good point you make. How awful is it the SEC is good in hoops, too? It is a good point. It does suck.
College hoop needs to open up their game, though.
Oh. I mean, I at least like watching that Arkansas, Florida. They
played last
they
night.
play. They let them
played, and they played hard.
And
it
I
was
know there's
okay.
some bad defense on occasion, and guys get wide open. But
That's
guys are moving.
It's okay.
You watch a Big Ten game, nobody moves, David. The offense is stagnant.
Question: you guys have watched Arkansas basketball this season?
Mm-hmm.
How's Chris Likes doing? No.
Okay.
He's doing okay.
I think he's doing okay.
I'm just curious. He's a point guard UM for a really long time.
I don't think he is a huge part of their team.
He doesn't start?
I mean, I thought he did, but
here, I'll just give you last night.
Well,
I've played against him before. Pickup. He sauced me.
No, he played 9 minutes last night. He had 3 points.
Damn.
He's not a starter.
All right, we're coming back in 10.
Thanks for listening. And now, more of Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
"20 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network. Thanks so much for being with us. Seth Everett in about 15 minutes' time. Miller and Moulton brought to you in part by Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for all your vehicles. If you're do-it-yourselfer, then only buy Napa Filters, whether you order them online or you go into the store to pick them up. We met John from the Napa Dream Team in Southwest Florida yesterday, along with his wife Lisa and sons Justin and Kyle. They didn't make it. Somebody had to run the 6 stores. So nice to meet John, along with Tim, who handles a good part of the region. So nice to meet them at the event yesterday. And thanks to Napa for sponsoring the 2 events that we had on Saturday and yesterday.
And the 2 of us. Now when I do my do-it-yourself stuff with the car around the house, I go Napa all the time.
Did we not bring up, however, the mic flag?
We didn't.
No. I just realized that.
We didn't. It never really presented the opportunity.
Well, I think it did. I think we just blew it.
Well, we had a couple of listeners that showed up and started taking the Napa conversation over.
Well, they did. There's no doubt about it.
And then, the boss
and his dad
right, was talking a lot of cars with the Napa guys.
They were.
So we didn't get the opportunity. We'll get it. Don't worry.
Okay. The Napa filter mic flag. All right. That's what we need. That's what we're missing. To channel our inner Dan Patrick show, have one of those big, obnoxious mic flags. That used to be a really big deal, Mark, in local news.
Oh.
When a station would change their mic flag and all of a sudden they'd go with the big, obnoxious, "We are TV4." And it's like, oh, for goodness sakes.
You know what I get a kick out of? Every once in a while, you'll watch a documentary of some sort, and you'll see, particularly when it's something that happened close by your part of the world. And you'll see footage from 20, 30 years ago of some sort of press event.
Yep.
And then you look and they're sticking the mic. Hey, that's my local station there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Hey, that's WNEM TV5 from Saginaw. I'll be damned.
Yep.
I can't believe they covered that story.
There's a couple over the years in which I go, hey, there's my hand.
Always loved the press conference table where they all had their microphones stuck on the press conference table.
Right. I'm telling you, damn near fistfights I've seen break out. All right. More so amongst the camera folks than
Well, yeah, because the camera
reporters.
folks, I mean, if we're going to generalize the people covering it, men and women, news people, typically, I'm not going to imagine most of the time, unlike you, aren't going to be that aggressive and ready to drop the gloves at any point in time.
Oh, I don't know, Mark. Local TV news, it is a
But
vicious.
but your cameramen, they're the one hauling this stuff. They're a little burlier. They're a little bigger. They're a little edgier.
Now, I
David.
will say there's so much more one-man banding, as they call it. Reporters are having to shoot all their own stuff. But, here, Mark, here's the deal. So the local sheriff is having the press event. And everybody puts their, it used to be tape recorders. Now it's phones, and they lay their microphones up there. And then all of a sudden, one of the TV stations would put up the little,
the mic stand.
And then it's got the big obnoxious mic flag. So you see, and they were the only ones that didn't take their mic flag off. Okay, well, if you're working for one of the other stations, this is totally unacceptable.
This is what?
Because the news director has said, hey, you work for Channel 4, and you know what I never want to see? I never want to see Channels 2 and 7, their mic flags appear on our air ever. And then you go to this big press event, and the boss doesn't see your station, and they see your chief competitor? Ha! Let me tell you might as well just go home.
That's a fireable offense.
Well,
for a young buck, it could be. I mean, it certainly could get you chastised. Could get a little bit of hot water at least.
Get you written up. It could, Mark. I got written up early in my career about it.
It's all about the competition, David, and what the competition says and what you say. Much like Mark Stoops recently, David.
He has a local TV news beef?
Well, he has a SEC beef.
Gotcha. Okay. Just wanted to make sure what plane we were playing on.
No,
here.
I figured it was my time to transition back to sports. That was enough of local news.
Gotcha.
But we all know now Texas A&M with their unbelievable recruiting class,
right?
All the NIL money that's poured in, and Jimbo being very upset,
right,
about people saying that money had a reason for his recruiting class.
People are not coming here just for the money, Mark.
In fact, he said that had nothing to do with this class. This is hard work by our staff. It's insulting to the kids who came here, and it's that you insinuate that. It's not a great Jimbo. It's not even a good Jimbo.
Well, the accent was in the ballpark. Here's the problem.
He goes a lot faster.
Oh, I don't know if you can do a Jimbo impression because of it. I mean, who the heck can do an impression talking that fast?
A southern accent that fast. That had nothing to do with class. This is hard work by staff. It's insulting to the kids that came here. You insinuate that.
No.
See, that morphs into Spurs.
I know. That's the
problem when you go that fast. Anyhow, Mark Stoops did an interview with On3 a couple of days ago, which must be some local Kentucky thing, in which he said was asked about the NIL money. And he said, anybody that tells you that this is not about the money is a liar. It is now about that. It is the people with money, the people with boosters willing to pay money to sign players. To act like that is not the case, you're a flat-out liar. Who was he referring to?
I think he was referring to Jimbo Fisher.
Certainly seems that way to me.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And what I find ironic about it is that Kentucky is one of the best setups to get kids there of any team, any school in the country right now.
By the way, Lane Kiffin said that while the recruiting process was still going on. About 2 weeks left in recruiting, and Lane Kiffin just said, well, now it's kids are just basically finding out who can give them the best offer.
And that's what really honked off Jimbo, and that's what led to the comments that Jimbo made in and around signing day.
Right.
I think there's going to be more Lanes and Mark Stoops out there.
Well, yeah, because they're not going to finish first.
Well, Mark Stoops is not going to finish last because Kentucky's got the money.
Well, they do, and it's nice that they're finally going to spend it on football.
And they are spending some on football. I mean, he's actually, with this, to me, he's not only calling Jimbo a liar, he's saying we're getting players because of it. And anybody that doesn't think that's a fool. We're Kentucky. We don't get football players here until we started paying them like we pay our basketball players.
Although I will say, Mark Stoops deserves a lot of credit. It's one of those in which you would have thought somewhere along the way, other Kentucky coaches would have figured it out better. I mean, Rich Brooks had a couple of moments, and, Bill Curry even had a moment. But, Stoops sold them on, we're not that far from Ohio. And Ohio State's only going to take so many guys. And we are in the SEC. And we're competing with Michigan State, Cincinnati, and the like. And I think we could sell them on playing in the SEC.
In Indiana and Purdue and schools like that. You're absolutely right, David.
And he said this is going to take a little while. The kids are used to staying in the Big Ten. But we're just going to basically show up and go SEC, and see how many kids from Ohio, if they can't go to Ohio State, decide this is probably the second best situation for me. If I'm going to be middle of the run, do I want to be middle of the run in the Big Ten or the SEC?
And it's really easy to say how many guys from one get to the league over the other. And that's even with the SEC and the Big Ten, because it's still dominant.
And so they've done, he has put together a nice, solid, this is who we are. 8-4's probably our average year. We've had a couple years we've been able to go 9-3 and the like, and that's great. That's fantastic. But this is who we are, and we're just killing time until John Cal can get his guys in shorts out on the court for you.
Hey, there's no reason right now why they can't be third every year on that side until they redo it.
You would think that Tennessee should be able to counter that.
Should be, but you're taking football history into account in that they actually have their act together. When you look at, they've got to go to Atlanta. Tennessee's got to go to Atlanta and recruit against everybody in the SEC. Kentucky's trying to, they can be right there with Tennessee every year.
Well, they certainly think so because they feel they have more of a natural recruiting base where Tennessee has to recruit nationally. Now, we'll see with how Nashville is growing as to whether or not the University of Tennessee can own Nashville, which is going to start producing outstanding football here in depth. Right now, it's producing a few, but pretty soon it's going to be producing a ton of players, and it's up to the Vols to own it.
You are so right, but they're going to have to beat out Alabama.
Oh, I know.
And most teams don't beat out Alabama to own any part of the recruiting world.
I'll tell you what, though, they can come up with money at Tennessee. Don't kid yourself. Don't kid yourself. Miller and Moulton. Seth Everett next here on the Florida Sports Network.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Year ago today, Tigers car wreck.
Where's my MLB source?
Well, sled puppy, it's also the quality of the club and the ball. I mean, you remember how long ago was it? Was it 20 years ago? That whole iron Byron machine, they put Jack's McGregor equipment in it and the ball that Jack was playing in it, and they tested it. And I think they do their average tests with a 7-iron, and the ball went like 30 degrees to the right with it. And they literally, when it was done, called up Jack and said, "How the hell were you able to play with this equipment?" Jack's like, "Well, it's what we had. It did just fine." I still have my grandfather's set of golf clubs. They are so heavy. Unbelievable. My grandfather, if he was alive, would be 102. And these are the clubs that he played in the 70s. Oh, my goodness. I mean, you could kill a home invader with one of these clubs. I challenge anybody to hit a good solid 4-iron with these clubs. They're unbelievably heavy.
Speaking of which, Jake played my dad's clubs. They've been sitting forever.
Right?
Jake off the first tee, I give him like the 5-wood or the 3-wood. Snap.
Oh, yeah.
5-wood. Snap. So I've got to peel the shafts out of these pigs. I got to get them reshafted for him. Seth, where are you?
Oh, remember he said he was going to try to join through the phone.
I sent him an invitation. I'm going to text him right now.
Shit. He told me if he could ask if it was okay to join through the phone, and then I asked, but I think I forgot to tell him that it was okay.
All right, well.
Damn it.
If we have to.
Yes, Johnny Mac.
Oh, for crying out loud.
I just sent you his number. If he's going to do it that way. I didn't realize he was joining us that way because you asked yesterday if he could do Twitch by phone. Check these girls. Check this. Kids.
That works.
They did. I saw it the other day they did a Pat Benatar song, and she killed that too. I was like,
Get Dave Grohl or somebody to write her some music and see what she could do.
Right. That's always the thing. They don't realize, it's like I've seen all these musicians, or these people that can play and play and play. It's like, okay, do your own. I don't think we're going to go Seth.
I don't think so either.
I texted him. His notifications are silenced. Which means he didn't get the text. He's probably still in bed.
I'm calling him. We're coming back in 15.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network. Thanks so much for being with us on this hump day. quite a few things to kick around as we are, 20 days away from the NCAA tournament, if you count the play-ins, 22 days away from the madness.
But conference tournaments start
next week.
Next week, right?
Next
Small
week.
conference tournaments we get going.
I'm all in. All in. March 1st. Well, a sun in our backyard.
Right?
Oh, yeah. I'm all in, baby.
Probably
all
a little
in.
OVC.
The small conferences Saturday is pretty much the end of the regular season with all their conference tournaments beginning next week. Obviously, you got about a week and a half left in the major conferences. Like Michigan's got 5 games left. A lot of schools have 4. And then they start their conference tournaments the week leading into the madness.
If you want to text the show, text FSN Radio. That is the keyword to 21,000. FSN Radio to 21,000. You can text anytime you'd like. I tend to read them all different times of the day for that matter. Answer our poll question. Go to FL Sports Network on Twitter. Go to floridasportsnetwork.com.
Wow.
That Mark Miller, the David Moulton. Our poll question today is very simple. Given recent events, did Phil Mickelson talk his way out of ever being a Ryder Cup captain? And right now, 80% of you nearly are saying that he did.
Man. Now, I will say this, and most people know this if you're into the Ryder Cup. PGA of America, not the PGA Tour, but the PGA of America runs the Ryder Cup. And yes, they could be influenced by the PGA Tour, but they also have their own little idiosyncrasies. Like Fred Couples has never been a Ryder Cup captain, and it seems as if that moment has come and gone. Freddie won't play ball. Freddie and Davis Love III were kind of tied at the hip in the Davis Cup, in the Ryder Cup. And Davis Love III's been captain twice. And Freddie's been President's Cup captain. But there's more involved in being Ryder Cup captain. And Freddie hasn't been willing to play ball with the PGA of America. He's just a little different. He's a little more casual. This is too buttoned up and, too much time wasted on too many things. I don't know if I'm really interested in doing that. I'm interested in being Ryder Cup captain, but, all this other that comes with it.
Yeah, the 4 dinners I don't want to have to go to.
I really don't.
And the 6 meetings. Not interested.
No, I'm
starting
not.
to like couples more right now by the second.
And so Freddie's been passed over for Ryder Cup captain, and he has acknowledged, he goes, I think my time has come and gone. I think they've moved on from me. Because pretty much they go era to era. They go decade by decade, and they now are to the Steve Strickers era. They bypassed, he never won the PGA, but, Mark O'Mara.
Right.
Is seemingly, who's now in his 60s. He's been bypassed. Freddie has been bypassed. And if they could do it to Freddie, Phil's a better player, obviously. A far better player, actually. But
popularity-wise, really close.
Yes.
I mean, really close. Phil's popularity is of someone with Mickelson's resume. I mean, Freddie's popularity is someone with Phil's resume. I said that incorrectly. I apologize. But
right. Freddie was the guy before Tiger. Freddie, we joke NASCAR most popular driver. All right. And Freddie kind of had that distinction on tour, even though he only won the one major. Don't know. He might have been player of the year the 1 year in 92, but was most popular player on tour for half a decade easily.
It didn't hurt that his best friend was the voice of golf.
You're right. It didn't. It didn't. College roommates at the University of Houston. But I am surprised that, 80% of you? 79, 80% think that Phil now will not be Ryder Cup captain.
Unless Tiger bails him out, I'll stick with my claim that he does not get it.
Well, and we had Ron Sirak on last hour, and he said, I don't think Tiger will bail him out, not to be animus, but just that it's not Tiger's style, that he'll avoid it. Seth Everett is kind enough to join us. How are you?
Hey, guys. Yeah, isn't it funny when you work from home and 358 days out of the year you're home, and the one day you're not at home, your iPhone completely crashes.
Seth Everett, Sports with Friends, Hall of Justice, and Tech Stream.
Apparently,
There'll be a
Tech Stream not going
episode
nearly
about
as
this
well.
Sucker.
You can follow Seth on Twitter at Seth_Everett. You're on the East Coast of Florida, though, aren't you?
I am, yes. And I had a whole plan. I had a background all set up. I was going to join via my phone. I was going to ham and egg this whole thing. And all this phone has essentially just become a paperweight. And I don't have my daughter's going, why don't you just call them? I'm like, do you know their phone number? Does anybody know their phone number? She says, well, why don't you just email them? Why would I know your email? I have all those things. So, yes, it was great that your producer, your esteemed producer, texted me a studio line.
Wonder whose idea that was, Dave.
And it went to my watch, and I couldn't write back on my watch, but I saw it. So I ran, and now I'm on a line with a very short phone cord.
Well,
You're on a landline?
I am on a landline, yeah.
Holy cow, they still have those.
Yeah.
At Boca del Vista.
let me guess. You're at a grandparent's house.
That's well, their parents, yeah.
Somebody in that house is called Grandma or Grandpa. There's no doubt if there's still a landline.
100%, yeah.
Seth, we're into day 3 of the serious negotiations. I'm guessing you're heading over to Jupiter at any point today to stand with the 12 to 15 people encouraging the owners and players. They really haven't even talked about this tax. This is the first time serious negotiations, I think, have gone on. Is there anything you've taken from the last 2 days?
I thought about going. I really did. I'm not that far, and I know all those people. I thought about going. They are not. This is not a major priority. And the one thing that I've been able to learn this week is that they genuinely don't mind if they play 140 games. They don't want to go in too far into the summer, but there's no sense of urgency. We said last week, it's just who caves. That's all this is going to come down to. It's just going to be who decides to back off their demand. And, frankly, right now, there's no incentive for either one to do so.
Well, and Seth, I threw out there last hour the reason why I believe, you had said a couple years ago this was going to happen. And then a few months ago when we said, okay, what are the various scenarios? And you thought it was either March 31st or May 1st. And it certainly looks as if it's going to be May 1st as opposed to March 31st. But Seth, the reason why I think this could drag out a while is because I think the players have the one thing that the owners really want, and that's the 14-team playoff. And they can give it to them, but they'll only give it to them if they can get what they really want. And then at the very end, Seth, they could say, okay, now we gave you what you want. By the way, it's all conditional on you got to pay us for 162 games. And the owners go, well, hold on a second. We're only going to play 140. And the players go, yeah, I don't care. And that's what I think is going to happen, Seth.
Yeah, but clarify one part of this, because are you saying a while? Are you saying July?
No, I'm saying into May.
Okay. Yeah, look, the 14-team playoff, I think, is a factor. I think this all has to do with minimum salaries and how fast you can get to free agency. All the detail that are like the minutia. I mean, I hate to say it, the minutia to the typical sports fan. The 14-team playoff, I think, is going to happen, and it's just going to be, they'll use that as leverage, just like they used to use the worldwide draft as leverage, and it would never get settled. The only difference is this is going to happen. It's just a matter of when. My argument is, if they start to get into May, what will the responses be? If you remember during 2020, we talked about this a lot. I was convinced that a lot of the media members were writing columns about they better get on the field, and they were doing so simply because they were worried about their jobs. What I'm curious to see is how the media covers the lockout once games are canceled. Will they forget? and the NCAA tournament takes center stage, but that's only 4 days out of the week. What happens to the perception? My argument was when they announced that spring training was going to be preempted, the only people that cried about this were over 40. And what I wonder is what will happen if regular season starts to get impacted. What will the perception be? Because baseball, knowing baseball the way I do for a quarter century, they read their headlines a lot.
Okay. As this goes on, Seth, that minimum salary that you talk about, David and I were talking about this earlier. We think it's a bad look. I mean, just simply with they're arguing over about $100,000. How big of a deal is that? That seems with the tax, with everything that's going on, it seems like one of the smaller things, and you're trying to make it bigger. Why?
Well, I'm not trying to make it bigger. They are.
No, but why? Why is that such a stickler? Because it seems like one's at like 770, the other's at 630. Like David said, meet in the middle at 700, call it a day, and move on. Or we're having a bad look of your minimum salary being like $750,000.
Not getting an argument, but has look been ever a factor in any of this? Has baseball been concerned about its look? They make decisions based on what they perceive is the best for their business. And what the union just wants to feel is that the league is caving on something because they caved the last one. It is literally that petty. How about we make this deal? When in this process, what has to be canceled for me to come on and not talk about this?
I don't understand the question, to be honest with you. But Seth, I do think you touched upon a couple of questions ago or a couple of answers ago in which the reaction.
Yeah.
Like, you think that Major League Baseball will read the headlines and react accordingly. Well, Seth, the headlines lately have been pretty, bold. And quite frankly, the mainstream baseball media has not been all that kind to the owners and the commissioner. I get the sense that maybe this time, right now, everyone's avoiding the media and they just don't give a damn because they really just want to beat the other side and they don't care.
Well, I talked to Jason Stark about a month ago before spring training was scheduled to start, and they were talking about how they have been told, try to stay away from labor articles. They've been told that the readership doesn't really want this. And that's what I'm concerned either. The main thing I see on social media back when I had a phone is that all people care about is get games on.
Right.
Let me see something. We don't care about this. So to go back to Mark's point, I don't know that the minimum salary is a sticking point in the perception of this lockout. What I'm saying is I just wonder what perception will be if regular season games are canceled. Will there be vitriol or apathy? And that's the difference.
I think there will be both, and I'm not being a smart aleck. I think there will be vitriol from the base, and I think there will be apathy from the masses who are no longer baseball fans, and they'll be like, well, good, this is just something now I really don't have to pay attention to.
Yeah. Yeah, I sense the same thing. I just think that, we talk about the overall health of the sport. It's just, this is just hitting the accelerator on the decline.
By the way, a gentleman in our Twitch chat room who goes by the moniker Dandy Coins, all right, is watching and listening from Spain. And he says there's a sports bar down the street in Spain that simply has an MLB sign with a big X through it.
Nice. I would have gone with the circle with the line through it. That's more like the Ghostbusters thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Seth, what do you got coming up? I know you're on vacay this week, so
No, the podcasts are all happening. We did all the podcasts. Tech Stream, we talked about why we didn't do Tech Stream last week because of the passing of my father and Shelly's mother within 3 days of each other. Sports with Friends, Dan Rosen on the state of the NHL. We cover everything that you guys would be talking about that you try to stay away from. We talk about international competition, why there were 100 COVID cancellations and only 3 in the NBA. We talk about a lot of NHL stuff. We talk about streaming. and the future and the reaction to TNT and ESPN. Dan Rosen on Sports with Friends, that should be posted today. And then Hall of Justice is about Peacemaker. If anybody's seen the show Peacemaker on HBO Max, it's hysterical. John Cena is great, and we review it on the Hall of Justice. All those podcasts were produced before I left.
So Tech Stream, Sports with Friends, Hall of Justice, Seth Everett. Seth, very quickly, because we're very pressed for time. All right, give me a one-word answer as to the reaction to the NHL on ESPN and TNT so far.
Positive. He explains.
Fantastic. All right, Seth, you are on the East Coast of Florida. It is a requirement that you get your sandals, your black socks, and go take a walk at some point today.
Oh, you know me well.
Be well, Seth.
See you guys. Thanks for having me.
Seth Everett, Sports with Friends, Hall of Justice, and Tech Stream. He sent out a tweet, I believe it was on Sunday morning, and he said, I'm going away on vacation. I got to get all three things done today. Wish me luck. So I guess he got all three things done on Sunday.
Yeah, I caught that too.
I don't know if he sounded like that. That's just how
I read it in a similar voice. I don't think that you're that far off base on that one.
Miller and Moulton. Thanks to those of you in Lake City and surrounding areas, Tampa, St. Pete, Port Charlotte, and Venice for listening on this hump day. For those of you in the 239, you know the drill by now.
It's the bonus hour.
Hot damn.
Miller and Moulton, we thank you so much for listening. The bonus hour is on the other side. Vote on the poll question. The Mark Miller or the David Moulton. That Mark Miller. That's how it goes. Florida Sports Network.
The Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by RP Funding, roars through the streets of beautiful downtown St. Petersburg, February 25th to the 27th. 3-day tickets are on sale now at gpstpete.com. It's fast, fun, family entertainment jam-packed into 3 days. The weekend is highlighted by the NTT IndyCar Series race taking the green flag on Sunday afternoon. It all happens at the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by RP Funding, February 25th to the 27th. Get your tickets at gpstpete.com to secure the best seats.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today. Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. And use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
And I think they're a quasi-sponsor.
Well, it's the one guy of the Gulf Coast Town Center one, not the one on Corkscrew.
Right.
Mark Duquette's the guy's name. I met him. Yeah, you're right.
Yes, the NHL trade deadline, I think it's the same day as the start of March Madness. I think it's March 17th.
Oh my gosh. So I read the headline on Fark and then I went to the story. A man who was possibly using a knife while driving Sunday died when he struck a parked car and stabbed himself.
It's March 21st. Do the Lightning need to make a trade? I think they could bring in a little more grit. I think in theory they get what's-his-face back. They should have enough scoring. I mean, the main difference between the team is they lost their third line from last year. I would just try to get another guy or two that resembles the third line. Here's my thing with the Lightning, though. If they're going to get out of that division, they're going to do it with defense and goaltending. Their defense and goaltending is better than Florida and Toronto. That's going to get them out of that division.
Precisely.
That's why they're going to get out of that division.
When Florida can show me that they have a headman that can play 35 minutes a night in the postseason,
so
they're not going to score 4.5 a game against Tampa. That's the thing. And I love, style-wise, I love this Florida team.
Yeah.
They are much more fun to watch.
I do think that Tampa Bay is not going to score goals in the playoffs the way that they have in recent years. So they're going to have to,
Well, they've lost some of that second, third line scoring that they had.
But I would be more concerned about, pick up an extra, a depth winger and a depth defenseman probably. I agree, Mark. I think they could use a little bit more. But, man, it's going to be tough to beat Vasilevsky 4 times in 2 weeks. It just is. It just is. I mean, he's the best goalie in the world until proven otherwise. And you win a lot of series with that. Ask the Islanders 40 years ago. I mean, there's a reason the Canadians won all those cups in the 70s. And they had a lot of great players. They also had Ken Dryden.
And they had, what they had with them? They had a Larry Robinson.
Yeah, exactly. You know what stopped the Flyers dynasty? Larry Robinson.
And the Lightning have this goalie, and they have a Victor Hedman.
Right.
I mean, it's a pretty damn good combination.
You know how we just did in the NFL? Everybody, it would be nice if you had a Joe Burrow. Okay, the Lightning can go, we got a Victor Hedman and an Andre Vasilevsky.
Right.
And they're really good to have. We have Batman and Robin.
Right. That doesn't even get us into the Kucherovs and everybody else you have up front.
Right. And for the first time in 3 years, in theory, in the playoffs, they may have a healthy Stammer.
Right.
They haven't had that the last 2 years, and they've still won the cup.
I'll take every part of Florida's team other than the defenseman and the goalie.
10 seconds.
Every day.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
The fourth and final. We appreciate you being with us. Another reason to sign up on the Miller and Moulton Twitch.tv channel. I mean, we just did a whole hockey segment during the break there.
We've learned over the years. We've learned. The consultants have taught us. Do your hockey during the breaks.
I disagree. I think we can do it on the air. Particularly, we got a trade deadline, Mark, coming up. You know how I feel about them.
One, we know we're in a good hockey market now that we're in the bonus hour. 2, Tampa's a great hockey market. It truly is.
Right.
They love their Lightning. Port Charlotte in the middle.
Yeah.
Lake City might not like our hockey talk, but they're going to have to take it. They're going to have to take it for a little bit.
What the hell are these guys talking about is probably what they'll think in Lake City.
But we gave them some NASCAR in the last couple of weeks, so I think that,
And a little golf.
A little this for that.
Yeah, it's a trade-off. But for those that have asked, trade deadline in the NHL is Monday, March 21st. So things are going to start heating up here.
And it will.
Oh, yeah.
Because they're not afraid in this sport to trade.
They'll make 100 trades.
I don't know how many of them will be worth value, but they're not afraid to trade, guys.
And I'm not kidding, by the way. They will make 100 trades in the month of March. 100. It's 3 trades a team, basically.
Yeah, I don't think there'll be. I'll go under. I would say there'll be 100 players traded. There will not be 100 trades. If you know what I mean.
Okay. All right.
But I think you're. You know what? It's a fun little thing to keep track of.
A little over-under on the number of trades. How about this?
Trades and players dealt.
How about this? 49.5 number of trades, 100 number of players, 99.5 number of players. Over-under. I'm going over on both.
I'm going to go under on the trades, but over on the players.
Draft picks don't count.
That's not very fair, but okay.
Okay. If
No.
no. I'll let you, because they become players. So that's all right.
If Freddie Charles can count, then a draft pick can count. Freddie Charles, for those that don't know, that is future considerations. And that is what, in working in the ECHL and in the IHL, the now defunct AAA league, that's what players referred to when someone got traded for future considerations. They went, oh, you got traded for Freddie Charles. They gave him a name. It just felt a little bit better in the room that you got traded for something.
And we won't stay on this subject matter much longer. However, we did bring this up yesterday. Conor McGregor's in Tampa tonight. Now, I will say
Or
the game,
McDavid.
that one too.
Yeah.
Because if Conor McGregor was in Tampa, that probably wouldn't help the Oilers all that much.
Actually, it would. They could use some grit.
Well, that's true. I just don't know if he can skate. But yes, Connor McDavid is in Tampa tonight. Oilers and Lightning. It is on TNT. How about that? Two-time defending Cup champions and the best player in the sport. There's finally a network that realizes maybe we should put them on.
And Saturday they play at Florida. It will be an entertaining game because Florida Panther hockey games are pretty much always entertaining.
And it'll be at 12:30.
You literally could go to the game and be back by dinner.
Early bird, in fact, you could be back by.
And if you do what Miller and Moulton do, like the Progressive commercials, and bail a little early, which is something David and I do every time we go over to Sunrise, leave 5 or so minutes left in the game, you're back by 4.
So just, public service announcement there, if in fact you're a hockey fan. But we've talked a little Phil Mickelson on this day. He is the subject of our poll question. Do you think Phil's recent comments, which have gotten him in all sorts of trouble, at least PR trouble, is going to cost him being the Ryder Cup captain? And over 3/4 of you say yes. I'm a little surprised, to be honest. I'm a little surprised. Ron Sirak did bring up something that I don't think either one of us had considered. And if you missed our interview with Ron Sirak, it took place midway through our 7 o'clock hour. You can go to floridasportsnetwork.com or millerandmoulton.com, and you can, download our podcast, millerandmoulton.com. So he said, Phil says he's going to take some time off. And Ron said, he might have been suspended by the PGA Tour. And they never release when they suspend somebody.
He's probably right.
My follow-up question, which I didn't ask, he can still play in the Masters, though.
Yep. And technically, he could still play in the PGA, couldn't he?
I think so.
Because that's run by the PGA of America.
Neither one of them run by the PGA Tour.
But he couldn't play in the Players.
No.
And you had mentioned earlier he doesn't like that tournament, but the Players is the 5th major. It's
right. But right now he's probably not welcome, so it's probably better for him. I think it would be best if he just showed up at Augusta. Just take the whole next 5 weeks off. Show up at Augusta. This is not going to be a big story at Augusta because Augusta is going to glare at the media going, the focus this week, boys, is on the Masters.
Yeah, you don't ask any questions about the Saudi Golf League. You don't ask any questions about this.
And also, when they introduce him, they will remind the assembled media he is a 3-time Masters champion.
Which makes him an honorary member. You don't treat...
Which also makes him, outside of Tiger Woods, the only active player. He is the second most accomplished active player. You will treat him as such.
Right. And the other one's not playing.
Right.
So he's actually as of right now, the leader in Green Jackets of active participants in the Masters.
He will be the most accomplished player in the field, both here and worldwide. And without saying it, all those guys covering the Masters know what the ground rules are. I mean, it will come up, but it will come up like, Phil, as for your comments. Like, I don't know if anyone asking the question will say Saudi. I don't know if that country is brought up.
I guarantee you no one's going to say scary MFer.
I will say this. Normally, I side 99% of the time. I will side with the journalist over the athlete about on the record, off the record. But I will say, have you ever heard Phil say on the record? I mean, have you ever heard Phil curse on the record before? He's been doing interviews for 30 years. 30 years. Okay. I actually think Phil thought he was off the record because he picked up the phone and called the journalist.
Right.
And I think he thought he was off the record. And the journalist was like, well, we're on the record. We talk a lot. I'm writing a book about you. And thought it was on the record.
David, look it. You and I are nobodies in the grand scheme of things.
Right.
But when I was running the little arena over there from the marketing standpoint and dealt with the likes of you at the TV standpoint, I know every once in a while there was something that happened. And I'd talk to you and you'd ask me, I'm like, all right, David, off the record, here's what happened.
Right.
Really? We'd have a conversation. Conversation would end. We'd go back to talking. It was always pretty well defined what was off the record. If I called you in the newsroom and started going off on something. Now, you and I had a good relationship that you might have said, Mark, are you sure you want to be saying this?
Right.
You would have given me an out. Now, I don't know if
Alan Shipnick
there gave an out. So, Phil, you know what you're saying here, right? Because to me, if they've got a good relationship, I would think that conversation would happen that way. That's how it's happened with me and others throughout my career.
I mean,
on both sides of people telling me, hey, here's what it is. You want to know off the record, I'll tell you, but you can't use this. Okay.
I mean, Shipnook was honest. He goes, hey, man, it was on the record. And besides, it was great stuff. I'm writing a book. The guy gave me a juicy steak. I'm going to write the juicy steak. But the other thing that I do believe going forward, if you're a really public person, I don't know if you can do interviews anymore and have relationships with members of the media and assume, okay, even when you say, listen, off the record.
I don't know if there's such thing anymore. I was going to ask you the same question, David. I really and truly was about to ask you the same exact question. Because we're old. We're not out on a beat. We're not out digging for stories.
Right. Yeah, it's not what we do.
And it's not really what I ever did.
Right.
You did it certain different points of your career. But even my wife last night, when we were talking about it, hey, how's your day? And I go, hey, well, you know what? We got a gift. In fact, I asked David last David at the event. We were literally sitting there, not more than 20 minutes before this news came out. I looked at David and said, I know we got Seth tomorrow. What the hell else are we going to do? And David gives me the standard, something will come up. 30 minutes later, his phone dings and Phil's taking a break from golf.
Right.
And we laughed. So I got home with the wife and she says, how was the event? And we go, I said, I said, but Mickelson's walking away from golf for a little while. From the stuff he said, blah, 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 blah. And she said, there's nothing off the record anymore. And she's a conservative person in every way, shape, and form of her life. And she even acknowledged, she just looked at me, she goes, is anything off the record anymore?
And I think if you're an athlete and or quite
a public
frankly,
figure,
a broadcaster, yes. Yeah, if you're in the public, I don't know if you can go off the record anymore. Don't know if it exists.
You're off the records with your friends inside your house.
I mean, I have to admit, you can go off the record with me. I mean, I hear a lot of things. I mean, I'm around people who say a lot of things, who know a lot of things, who run into a lot of people. I mean, I never, ever repeat anything that is said in a conference room, in a meeting room. All right, in the broadcast booth.
Well,
Never.
I think it's funny. I hope I can share this, and I don't want to get you in trouble. And I think you told me a story that you were in the car with Buck, and I think it was Aaron Andrews the first time, and Aaron and Joe were talking, and
Right.
something came up, and I'm not going to get it because it doesn't matter. But Aaron stopped and looked at you and looked at Joe and basically said, "Is he all right?"
Right. And it was literally the very first time I was working. It was in Charlotte. It was a Cowboys-Panthers game. It was opening day 2018 season. Opening Sunday anyway. Yeah, and they're just talking the way they normally do. They've known one another 15 years, the whole deal. And I'm the new face in the car. Joe knew me from golf. Aaron Andrews didn't know me at all.
Is he okay?
Yeah, midway through her conversation, she realizes, who's this Yahoo sitting here? And is this going to come back and bite me? And Joe said, yeah, he's good. And I looked right at her and said, I'm not paying attention.
Unless there's eye contact, Aaron, I'm not listening to a
Right.
word you say.
I've been looking at my phone the whole time. Okay. I didn't realize Aaron Andrews was in the car. Hi. Right.
Hey, you're pretty famous.
Right. My wife watches you. So, yeah. But you're right. That conversation took place.
And I've been the same. I'm not in the same circles as you are, but you and I are of that same old school belief that if it doesn't concern us, it doesn't really matter.
Very quickly as we go to break. So, Mark's still with the hockey team, and I'm still doing local television. So this is obviously a long time ago because I haven't done local TV in 18 years. And some story. I don't know if it was the whole, Cape Coral was going to get that minor league hockey team and build an arena and all that, but I don't know. But it was something I needed to come down, needed to get you on camera, the whole deal. And we have this really animated conversation with the camera not rolling. And then we look at one another and I go, listen, I got to go. And you go, yeah, I got to get back to work too. Okay, let's do this. At which point Mark becomes the stiffest, most boring person that I've talked in like 2 weeks. Okay. And it was the camera person starts laughing. Because, we are going at it like we're doing a segment on sports radio together. And then all of a sudden we stop and I asked the questions and Mark was like, we're on to Cincinnati.
God willing, we'll come out of here with a win.
We're on to Cincinnati. And, just say, I have to put that behind us. And get in the car and the camera person goes, what was that? And I go, well, that's lights on, lights off, Mark. I go, very, very different answers. Very different answers. And it's that way a lot. I will say when you do a TV, there's something about that light going on and people stand up straight and they stiffen up. And they start thinking about every word they're saying. It's why newspapers and radio folks can get, and nowadays with the modern media, you can get better stuff. If they'll give you the access.
Right. That big camera, big light.
Yep.
Microphone in your face. You think twice before you say what it is you really want to say.
I know. And it sucks. It really does.
Well, for the TV guy, not for us here on radio. We love it. Miller and Moulton. The good, the bad, the ugly. Today was a day win. What's on tap? Still all ahead right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Shadowwood Preserve with my college roommate, and we get paired with 2 other guys. And I just said to the 2 guys, I says, look, and I'm sorry, I did not expect this to happen until 5 o'clock, and it just happened. And my boss has decided to go MIA. My phone's going to blow up the whole back night, and I'm going to be on it a lot. And I apologize. I didn't.
Right.
And we're a 6-pack deep at this point.
Sure.
And I got to go to the rink to meet you. I don't think it wasn't you. I had to meet somebody.
Yeah,
It might have been a Tom James.
Yeah, I sent.
Might have been a TJ.
Yeah.
And I meet him in front of the rink. And all Z is going, you got to get God willing in there. You got to get God willing. He's giving me phrases to say, and I got one of them in. He is sitting there next to the camera going, God willing, God willing. He's like, you're kind of a big deal. I'm like, yeah. I mean, Brush just went MIA.
Why? I know, but I mean, so what? You just.
All right, I got good, bad, and ugly stories.
David, can you help me with a fresh, crisp Napa live read on this one?
Huh. Not only that.
You gonna talk about the whole fam?
I don't know, but
It's the whole gang here.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that. I wonder what he died of.
who?
Mark, it's Langan. There's a band called Screaming Trees. They were in that grunge scene.
Okay.
They had one song you would know,
Gotcha.
but they were heavy. And I remember them being on Letterman. And Letterman brought out food after. They're like, boys, let's eat. That's how they finished. He had the guys from Screaming Trees eating. How long do we have, Philly?
1 minute and 35 seconds.
Well, I'm going to do a Napa. Also, there's right here, Mark. Something there, too.
So, unfortunately, I don't think I can write enough like that. One day I'd like to just change all the numbers by 2 in different directions.
1 minute. Add the line Joel Embiid. 2. Going to the Heat game.
Tonight?
Heat Sixers. No, not tonight. Heat Sixers on March 5th. I'm excited.
Is that a Saturday?
Saturday, yeah. Get to watch my boy Hamas.
Hummus?
Hamas.
You're having hummus?
Hamas. Hamas. Lebeard. 10 seconds.
That's true. He should be back by then.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
And Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network is brought to you by Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, make sure you only buy Napa Filters, and Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, ATVs, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, trucks, earth-moving equipment, electricity-producing windmills, industrial equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Order them online or go and pick them up at the store. And in Southwest Florida, John, Lisa, sons Justin and Kyle, they own 6 of the locations. They're the Napa Dream Team. Stop on in, say hi, tell them Miller and Moulton sent you. By the way, open 7 days a week with a large inventory. That's an important note to mention these days. Inventory in all lines of you-know-what is an issue. Not in Southwest Florida at your local Napa dealer.
The only filter they don't have is one that can muzzle us, Davis. That's it.
I'm sure they have it. They just haven't used it for that purpose yet. If we get out of line, I'll bet you they can arrange for it. Show up another one of our remotes. Go, instead of giving away hats and backpacks, here, you two could use this. At which point we go, John, Tim, why are you turning on us? Miller and Moulton here on the Florida Sports Network. Our poll question, do you think Phil Mickelson's recent comments, which has gotten him in trouble, going to cost him ever being the Ryder Cup captain? That Mark Miller, the David Moulton, FL Sports Network, all on Twitter, plus floridasportsnetwork.com. That's right. You can go to our website and vote.
Vote on the poll question, download the podcast. Tell you, David, things are moving up.
We're getting there. We're getting there. I got a little excited yesterday. I'm not going to lie. A player got released to save $8.5 million of cap room. I'm like, here we go. Now we're talking. Let the cuts begin.
What is the end of the NFL year?
The last day before the new year starts is March 15th. March 16th
is when everybody has to be compliant.
Yes, by like noon or 3 p.m. Right. You've got to be at whatever the number is. And the number's in the 200s now. It went up like 26, 28 million this year. It was around 200 million last year, and now it's up, 25 more million. So teams have a little bit more room, and most of the teams in the league have cap room. I mean, they do. There's a third of the league that they got to make some cuts to get to the number. And in some cases, the cuts are pretty easy to see coming. But you got to remember, there's cuts to get to the, and then there's cuts to create room so that you can actually sign somebody. Never mind, you got to figure on $10 or so million for your draft to be able to fit folks in. So like when you hear that somebody's got 30 million in cap room, well, they may only have about 18 because that's, the 30 counts their draft. So then what are they going to do with their 18 million? But clearly the Saints have nearly 80 million they got to cut. The Packers have nearly 50 million they have to cut.
Cowboys have 25 million. The Rams have a little over 20 million. Vikings, Giants, Titans, Falcons, Bills, Niners, Cardinals, the teams that are over currently.
And, a team like the Giants, it'll be easy to get to the cap. All right. What won't be easy is if you want to create 30, 40 million of room to be able to sign a few guys and move on from a few guys. Like, they could be moving on from Saquon Barkley. They could be moving on from a couple of productive wide receivers. They could be moving on from 2 really good corners, actually, or a corner and a safety.
And the Chargers, of the good teams, of teams that we think are high-quality teams right now, the Chargers have the 3rd most available cap space in the league. The Bengals have the 4th most, and the Broncos have the 6th most. The Colts, 7th. Those teams are all teams that you should look to make some splashes in free agency.
Mike Williams, by the way, is a free agent wide receiver for the LA Chargers. He is 27 years old. He doesn't turn 28 until October. There was a report 2 days ago that said that what Mike Williams is going to get on the open market, all right, that the Chargers probably wouldn't match. So the thought is that the Chargers are going to tag him. That doesn't mean you can't trade a guy afterwards. You can actually release him at some point if you want, but that would be foolish for them to do it. But so the Chargers are they're going to have to use up some serious cap room on Mike Williams. Now, they got plenty of it afterwards.
Right.
But
they have $50 million in cap room, so they can take this hit without much of a problem.
You know, I think Amari Cooper is going to become available, by the way. I mean, the Cowboys have already come out and said that their number one priority is signing that number 3 wide receiver who got hurt there.
Well, I think Michael Thomas might be available from the Saints as well.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I mean, what are they going to do?
Well, true.
They're 47 players over the cap right now. I mean, they're $80 million over the cap. They don't have a quarterback for next year.
Here's my thing, though. Last year was only year 1 of his big money deal. So I don't know if they save money by getting rid of Michael Thomas, if you know what I mean.
Right.
That you kind of got to get like halfway through a contract
before the signing bonus part of it.
I mean, you know, they've got to, like, I believe he signed around a 5-year, $100 million contract. Well, if you're only in year 2, and I don't know what he got up front, but I think he got around 35, 40.
Right.
Remember, it all gets applied right away. So I don't know that they save money by getting rid of Michael Thomas. And for that matter, Mark, outside of Alvin Kamara, I mean, he's the only real weapon they have on offense. I mean, if you're going to give this new quarterback, whoever it's going to be, a fighting chance in New Orleans, don't you have to have Michael Thomas lined up to his left? Because to be brutally honest, if you're the Saints, you could do what the Chiefs do a lot in their passing game, where they have Tyreek Hill and they have Travis Kelce both lined up on the same side of the field. And it is really difficult to cover both of them on the same play. I mean, the Saints could go Michael Thomas and in the slot, Alvin Kamara.
No, you're right. And David, actually looking at the contract now, because I'd seen out there that he might get moved. Boy, it's $22 million dead cap money this year.
And I think his salary is a touch less. So
his base salary is $15 million for a year.
So, I mean, they're better off keeping him.
For 2 years. I mean, really not until the 24 years when they could get out of this. So you're right.
You know, what are the Bucs going to do with Godwin, who got hurt late in the season? Is that going to affect, you know, his value? Seen him linked to the Dolphins, who have cap room and have needs at wide receiver. By the way, no more excuses with the Dolphins. Okay, there's no more, you know, hey, you know, he kind of acquiesced to Brian Flores and what have you. This is, from this point forward, it's all on Chris Grier. From this moment forward, I don't want to hear it, because if Chris Grier is given a brand new head coach that he has no relationship with, by the way, sway over personnel, like his voice is going to count more than yours, then that's a Chris Grier problem. Then he's not a very strong general manager. I mean, Chris Grier now is the powerful guy in the Dolphins organization. Now, I don't know if he's going to have much more than 12 months as that guy. I mean, he needs to have a good year. But I don't want to hear it blaming it on anybody else but Chris Grier from this point forward. I do think the Dolphins, by the way, pay for a wide receiver. Pay or trade. I do think the Dolphins bring in a wide receiver. And I think Amari Cooper becomes available. I think he's a cap casualty in Dallas.
Well, Waddle worked pretty well.
Yeah.
Parker's days are done.
Certainly should be.
I mean, they should be, right?
Right.
So,
you know, I don't know if they're bringing Gesicki back, even though they've got the money to do it, but he doesn't fit the new guy's scheme. He wants his tight ends to be more of a blocking tight end. You know, that whole power running game. I think it's foolish.
I couldn't even think about not bringing that guy back.
I mean, quite frankly, with him, I think you need one less wide receiver. So,
Totally. You want to go buy a blocking tight end for cheap? Go knock yourself out.
go get two.
Play 12 personnel and
right.
make sure that this guy can get out into the flat. I don't know what to tell you, David.
But I was just excited, Mark. The Chiefs released a linebacker, saved $8.5 million. I'm like, okay, ball game on now. Now we're talking. Now the 2022 season's underway. People are getting released now. That's what I like to hear. Okay.
Haven't even started my notebooks yet.
Big day yesterday, Mark. Guys getting released.
I know.
And the USFL draft.
Well, it continues today right after our show, David. I'm sure you'll be on Twitch for a while breaking down pick by pick of the USFL draft.
I didn't even know they were having it. That's not a good sign for the USFL, by the way.
It's a draft. No one likes a draft more than David Moulton.
And spring football on top of it. And I was unaware of both. Not a good sign. Not a good sign. Adam's saying, by the way, Gesicki coming to the Jags. It's not a bad thought, Adam. Not a bad thought. If he hits free agency, you got a little something there. Hey, we said it last year. Why the Jags were not trading for Zach Ertz. We were saying give up a 5th round pick. Well, hell, I think Arizona ended up getting them for a 6th. I mean, it might be the best. Obviously, the best thing you can do for a young quarterback is to give him an offensive line, but that takes a whole line. Okay, if you could make one acquisition for a young quarterback,
safety valve,
get him a tight end.
Yeah. And the Dolphins aren't getting rid of Gesicki. Quit that. That would just be a terrible idea.
Yeah. Okay. All right. 26 minutes before the hour. What are we doing now?
Good, the bad, and the ugly. Today was a day win.
What's on tap?
What's on tap? That's kind of how we finish.
That's true. We're Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
It's not a player agreement with the XFL. It was announced over the weekend or Monday. It's about officials, maybe coaches. All right. But they're not. No NFL team is letting anybody that's under contract go play in the XFL. So that's not the agreement. The agreement is possible rule changes, referees training, maybe a feeding ground for young coaches, maybe guys who are like glorified interns with the NFL team, maybe getting some on the field experience, that sort of thing, but not player relationship. No. See, I think here, that's too late. See, before that, when he cut inside him, 55 takes his left hand, puts it right here, and kind of stops him. See, he's inside him. Now he grabs him with both hands. That's why and also where the flag came from.
I just don't think it's the grab that you did. It's a bad throw.
Well, it was late and a half a body behind.
I mean, it's a bad throw. I didn't even know this was on. I just wanted to give me a little Kay Adams.
Gesicki to the Titans. That's interesting. I'm wondering if the Titans bring Julio back.
So I don't know. I guess Lockhand 4 must be from Baltimore. But literally, Baltimore Business tweeted out, CIAA tournament tips off in Baltimore, raising hopes for tourism boost. It's literally what the tweet says. Retweeting it with nothing says tourism. Quite like CIAA.
Wow. Jacksonville, North Florida men's basketball game tonight is on 1010 XL. I mean, it is the River City Rumble. Okay.
It's good to know that it's the River City Rumble. I mean, it was funny as we had on Tom. Literally, I'm looking at my phone for the lines for the night. I was going to see if he had anything. No lines are on. As the interview is going on, all the lines are popping up.
10 seconds. Twitch chat, I love you.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"19 minutes before the hour, Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. You know, we were just talking a little NFL business there before the break. Field Yates reporting this hour, the Packers have just created nearly $11 million in salary cap space by restructuring the contract of nose tackle Kenny Clark. They converted over $13 million of his compensation into a signing bonus and added 2 void years to the deal. So what does that take him down to now? About $35 million under? I will say, if you're a Packers fan, this is like, hey, you know, we're trying to clear the decks to bring back, you know, the quarterback and tag Devontae and all that good stuff. But so there you have it.
Tell you what, Rams receivers are just having kids like every other day right now. Van Jefferson had a kid that was delivered night of the Super Bowl. They named Champ. OBJ had they had a baby 4 days after the Super Bowl. Zion. I'm just like, that's receivers getting it done all over the place.
Well, diva wide receivers, Mark. That's why I'm a fan. Time now for
Leave it to the oldest guy in the show, and definitely the oldest soul, to live in the past. Here's David Moulton with Today Was the Day When...
Well, I got to be honest with you. I'm going way back a lot, early and often. I think today is Happy Birthday Boston. Boston was incorporated as a city on this day in 1822. Wouldn't that make today happy birthday for Boston?
Yeah.
So Boston's 200 today. You would think they'd be older.
I was going to say, how are they not older?
But it was incorporated as a city today. Does it count before that? I mean, is that like, they got their varsity letter today in 1822?
They were unincorporated Boston from the 1600s on?
I know. I don't understand it. The Battle of the Alamo got underway today in 1836. It lasted 13 days, and a lot of people died. On this day in 1870, Mississippi was readmitted to the United States after the Civil War.
That had to be an ugly meeting.
No, I don't think Mississippi had a lot of bargaining strength. I really don't. Hey, today's a big day. Thank you very much. February 23rd, 1896, the Tootsie Roll was introduced.
Underrated. Underrated.
Big fan. Big fan. Here's a question, though. Did you like when they went away from the original because they started making like the red one and the yellow one and the orange one? And
I didn't like the Tootsie Roll candy bar type of thing. They tried where you break off pieces. I like the little small, individually wrapped.
Little fat pudgy one, kind of like me.
Or me.
So there you go. The Tootsie Roll's 126 years old today. Boy, is it aged well.
It was Pudge before Pudge.
On this day in 1903, the United States and Cuba came to an agreement, and we got Guantanamo Bay. There.
Take that.
A year later, we bought the Panama Canal for $10 million. Got to admit, seems like a steal. I mean, that's Brady at pick 199. I'm telling you,
it really was, David.
Panama Canal for $10 million. We had control of that sucker for over 100 years. The first ever Rotary Club was formed on this day in 1905 in Chicago.
It was 3 days later that David was asked to speak.
And they've been serving the same chicken dinner since 1904. So on this day in 1940, Walt Disney released Pinocchio.
No.
It was on this day in 1945 that the flag was raised at Iwo Jima, the Pulitzer Prize winning photograph, which became the inspiration for the Marine Corps sculpture. On this day in 1945. So on this day in 1954, we had our first mass inoculation against polio. It happened in the city of Pittsburgh.
I'm leaving that alone. I'm just leaving it alone, David. Just move on to the next, whatever the next story is. I don't care what it is.
All right. On this day in 1958, five-time F1 champion Juan Manuel Fangio was kidnapped by rebels supporting Fidel Castro's movement. Remember, it's 58. Castro's not in power yet. Fangio was released, but not until after the Cuban Grand Prix.
Tough to get another Grand Prix after that.
It really is. It really is. On this day in 1963, Pavarotti made his debut for the Vienna State Opera.
Think he was skinnier then?
Yes. Think he still had a booming voice, though. I'm going to go out on a limb. 1964, Richard Petty won the Daytona 500. He led 184 of the 200 laps. Boy, good thing they didn't televise that sucker. Listen, folks, this didn't just start in the 21st century. In 1976, on this day, Major League Baseball owners announced spring training is not going to happen without a labor deal. All right? So this has been going on a while. There's some angst there through the generations. Eric Heiden won the 5th of his 5 gold medals today. He won the 10,000-meter race.
Right.
Remember, he won the 500-meter race. And then 3 races in between. Right.
Basically 6 miles.
So he was fast enough to win the sprint. And then he was kick-you-know-what in the longest race they had. By the way, at the end of the Olympics, because the Olympics ended tomorrow in 1980, Heiden wins his 5th gold. He did so in world record time. Unreal. On this day, Mark, in 1983, the New Jersey Generals signed Herschel Walker. This was considered a monster deal at the time. 39 years ago today, 3 years, $5 million.
Yep.
Monster deal. And it's, obviously what ended Herschel's Georgia career. He wanted to come back, but he had already kind of had contact with an agent and what have you. And they said, Herschel, I don't know what to tell you. You can't come back. Your eligibility by what you did is lost. And days later, he signed with the Generals. 1985, Bobby Knight threw the chair.
Hello, Jawan.
Also, very quietly, Patrick Waugh made his NHL debut. A little over a year later, he'd hoist the cup, and he'd be the biggest reason why for the Montreal Canadiens. Very sad day. 35 years ago, 1987, Royals manager Dick Hauser had to retire when he found out he had a brain tumor. It would, in short order, take his life. The very next year, in 1988, the city of Chicago gave the Cubs the right to install lights and play up to 18 night games a year. And the very next year, because I don't know, did they install them in 88 and play it? Because they played the first ever night game got rained out, but then the next night, I think it was the Mets.
Was it the Mets?
Oh, they were supposed to play the Mets and it got rained out, and then the next night, but I don't know if it was 88 or 89, but remember Wrigley Field, city of Chicago owned it and all that. Where are we going here? 1999, Mark. Eminem released Slim Shady.
Yeah, that was his first major record label album.
Dale Jr. won his second Daytona 500 on this day 8 years ago. Messi with his 50th career hat trick on this day 3 years ago. 2 years ago, Ahmaud Arbery shot to death. The video would not emerge until May. And, by the way, 2 years ago today, the first major COVID outbreak in Europe. And it was a year ago today that Tiger wrecked his car. Mark Elston Howard was born on this day in 1929. Peter Fonda was born on this day in 1940. Those celebrating birthdays today, Tom Osborne is 85. Fred Biletnikoff is 79. Ed Too Tall Jones is 71. Bobby Bonilla is 59. Steve Stricker's 55. Emily Blunt is 39. Gerard Mayo is 36. And then some NBA players for Felipe. Andrew Wiggins is 27. D'Angelo Russell's 26. And Jamal Murray is 25. And that is today was the day.
Well done. I had nothing. Hit them all.
Wow.
Cleared the bases.
And went all the way back.
You've heard folks
Whoa.
elsewhere mock Florida
That was crazy.
is gonna Florida. Well, Mark Miller sees it differently. He calls it the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
Did he just go Fonzie there? Whoa.
Not sure what that was.
Neither am I.
We'll stick close to home, Lee County, and Gabriella Parolo, who yesterday on, 2/22/22,
Right.
gave birth to twins at 2:53 and 2:54.
If she had given birth at 222, that would have been it.
So congratulations. Mom's good. Both children are good. Congratulations to everyone.
Cool.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I thought so. For the bad, we go to the mobile home community off of Palm Beach Boulevard named Siesta Mobile Community, where someone has broken into a Fort Myers mobile home and left behind, well, a couple of smelly samples. There apparently is a serial pooper on the loose, David.
Wait, I'm sorry. What?
A serial pooper. Family renting the mobile home said someone broke into the lanai this past Friday and left a stinky surprise in the corner. They're afraid they're going to return, so they didn't want to speak on camera. They say the person also broke a window inside, took $500 in cash, some fruit was stolen, and at some point broke through a window, went straight to the master bedroom, where they left a second deuce on the floor.
Man, this is not a pleasant story.
If you have any word on who the pooper is, please contact the Popo.
Can't believe you did that.
The ugly, David. We go to St. Pete Beach, where, according to the arrest report, Kelly Elkins is 49 years old. She was arrested around 2:15 in the morning on Friday. She was intoxicated to the point where the manager refused to serve her. That's where the lawyer went into the restroom and emerged completely naked. That did not get her a drink.
Really? Didn't get her a table?
Sheriff of Pinellas County arrived, noticed that she was still naked, told her he had to get dressed, but the attorney would only put on a hoodie, which she did not zip up. She told the cop that she was too tired to put on her pants.
Aren't we all?
She was admitted to the Florida bar in 2001. No word on how long she will keep that license. And that, David, is the good, the bad, and the ugly on today, 2/23/22.
All right. Hockey tonight. The Lightning are in action. As we've mentioned, they're hosting Connor McDavid and the Edmonton Oilers. Colorado's at Detroit. People in our Twitch chat room trying to tell us, you know, what a great rivalry it is.
No.
Was. Right.
Weird one tonight. Xavier at Providence. Providence is ranked 11th in the country, and they're only a 1.5 favorite at home.
Right. By the way, I'm taking Virginia in the 5 at home against Duke. Just for what it's worth.
And I'll lay the 5 with Wisconsin at Minnesota.
Ooh, in the barn.
Yeah.
In the barn.
In the barn.
First game after the whole controversy. All right. A little risky there.
And I'm wondering, LSU getting 7 at Kentucky. We just heard all the accolades about LSU earlier in the show.
Yeah. Kentucky.
At home.
Yeah, I think.
Lay the points.
Yeah, they've been playing great. Miller and Moulton, thanks so much for listening. We'll be back tomorrow, Florida Sports Network.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest